What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Gift of Gaming podcast. And this week, sit down, relax, and enjoy the magic that will be the first episode of Games Club. It's me, your host, Darren Wade. As per usual, you can't get rid of me. And for the first ever episode of the Gift of Gaming Games Club, I'm joined by a full house today. First, on my right, I know you're only listeners, but he's on my right. I've got Craig, the Critical Nolan. Craig, how are you?
Woo! Thanks for having me on, Darren.
Of course, a pleasure. Thank you for playing the game we're going to talk about. Kev, you're at my 12 o'clock. Kev Purcell, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, my man. How are you keeping?
I'm doing great. So nice to see so many faces here to talk about a game that I really enjoyed. And Colm Nolan is on my left. Colm, how the fuck are you?
Ooh, I'm excellent, Darren. Thank you again for having me, and I'm really excited to get into this bad boy.
Woo! Yeah, okay. So, as we might have said before in previous episodes, that we were going to do a games club where we review a game that we're all interested in playing. And what all took our fancy this iteration was, of course, Hogwarts Legacy. Now, before we get into the game, obviously there was some controversy surrounding the release and everything like that to do with J.K. Rowling and her views on the trans community, etc. So what we here at the Gift of Gaming want to do is we don't condone anything that she said. We don't abide by it, but we're here to celebrate video games and the teams and the people that go in to develop those games. And this was a massive team of hundreds of people over a couple of years developing what was a very enjoyable, at least from my perspective, game that I had a lot of fun with. So we're here to celebrate that. It's Hogwarts Legacy review, guys. And I'll just kind of work around the table to see kind of how, just to get a general feel for what you thought of it. Colm, I'm going to hit you up first.
Excellent. I won't go into too much detail because we'll get there. But as an overarching kind of summary of the game, I did enjoy it. What I think would be kind of fun as well is maybe I think we might have all kind of dabbled in the same house. I went full Slytherin and I was like, I'm going to be an evil character from whatever happens in this game. That's who I'm playing as. So if there's a death curse I can learn, I'm getting it and I'm using it. That was my very first thing. And I think going with a Slytherin, I was like, this is beautiful. Now, as far as I know, did any of you not pick Slytherin?
I didn't pick Slytherin.
Oh.
Yeah, I went down the Hufflepuff route, which would always be I was a big fan growing up. Mm-hmm. So that was just the house I naturally leaned to.
I love it.
And I just went down and played them. And I played as the good guy.
Oh,
yeah, so a little bit different there. I did learn a couple of unforgivable curses.
Oh, you still learned them? Ooh.
Yeah, I dipped my toe.
Oh, anyways, what about you, Craig? Do you enjoy it overall? Hate it?
It had its moments, good and bad. I too went down the Slytherin route, but not to be evil, just to kind of prove that Slytherins don't have to be evil. They're not all. They should not all be locked in the dungeon as per the final book,
Yeah.
So Slytherins are supposed to be cunning, and for me, I consider myself somewhat cunning, but not necessarily evil. So I think I'd be in Slytherin, but somewhat of a decent person. Overall, I thought the first 2 hours of the game were by far the best part of the game. Mm-hmm. And for me, that was a terrible realization.
Not a good sign. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so just so we can get a feel for the review, obviously, the whole point of Games Club is just to play a game until we do the review. There's no pressure on any of us to finish it. We'll talk about as far as we kind of want to. Colm, you finished it, I think, right?
I did, and I actually came close to finishing it a second time round as a Hufflepuff good guy, or actually good girl. I was a witch.
Oh, nice. Really dipping your toe in there.
And Kev, did you get to the end of it yourself?
Yeah. I suppose fortunately for me and not fortunately for the company I work for, but I actually got sick towards the end of last week, so I was able to bash it out over I think 2 days, Thursday and Friday. I think I was close to the end. I had a feeling I was getting there, and then just 2 solid days of I think I probably put in about 12 hours over those 2 days, got me over the hump, and I'm still playing the game. I haven't restarted it or anything, which I've every intention of going back and playing it the totally opposite way. I'm going to be evil to my absolute core, so just to get the different perspective of it. But I'm still trying to close out a lot of the side stuff because I do find it quite enjoyable. Even going through the world for me, just experiencing, I suppose, the different aspects, the different places you can travel, the different places you can explore. That whole thing is just delightful to me. I love it. Yeah.
And Craig, did you finish the game? How did you do?
I got to the fourth kind of dungeon, but that's where I just decided, you know what, I don't want to.
And you were so close, you know.
Well, apparently that's quite close to the end. But the third dungeon was so incredibly awful, and I just hated it so much that when I got to the fourth one, I just like, either I invest an hour in this, or I can just bow out now. And I was happy enough to just bow out of the game. Like each hour I think of the game is worse than the previous hour, to the point where by the time I got into that fourth dungeon, I had very little left in the tank. Like, I would have hated the game more if I continued, but as such, like, I don't hate the game because I had those first 20 hours, there was some highs and lows, but outside that first 20 hours there were no highs anymore. There was just lows and getting lower and lower and lower.
All right. Well, for me, I finished it. I also played a Slytherin, I didn't say. Artemis Flint. He was the snakiest of Slytherins. He was actually, you know, I played him kind of good / bad, you know. I didn't take shit from some other students who were barking up the wrong tree. That was my style, you know, like a take no shit Slytherin.
You were getting your rewards, were you?
Yes.
Asking for rewards.
I was getting my money.
Being a nice guy.
No, I was like, I went into a cave and fought off, like, you know, assassin goblins. Give me some cash for your glasses or spectacles or whatever the hell, like, whatever I ran down there for.
Don't they get real snarky with you when you ask for a reward?
Some of them do. Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, thanks very much. And you're like, well, I'm gonna have to ask for a reward. I'm a baddie, so I'll extort them if I get the chance. But they very often don't even offer you anything. It's like, even when I played as the good person, I was like, I mean, this sucks. Like, I should be robbing them.
What kind of reward did you want? Did you want like an additional wand that looks exactly like the one you already have? Like, none of the rewards in the game ever mattered to me.
That doesn't matter. Really what I wanted was like some kind of like, do you remember in Knights of the Old Republic, you could use like a Jedi mind trick on people who like did you wrong. You could make them jump off a bridge or like,
wow,
you know, like
you were really going renegade, huh?
Oh yeah. I really wanted a game where I could be a real baddie.
Was there any like cash value to like doing that? Like I kept thinking I would do it. Like I never looked for the reward. I was playing it as I am just going to be so true.
You were the Cedric Diggory of.
I really was like, to the point, like almost at a fault. I was trying hard because like there were some times where like one of the NPCs would be kind of like annoying in their request, like, oh, go get my cabbages. I'm like, oh, what an annoying job, just grow them. And so like I'd be like, no, I want some cash for these cabbages, but like I'd be like, no, I set myself a narrative, I'm going to be the good guy.
Well, I can tell you, is it worth it, isn't it worth it? We'll get down to those brass tacks, but I mean, it's only monetary, and I think the most I ever got was 500.
You don't get a lot of money even when you try to ask for the reward. So that's kind of a downer. Plus, at a certain point of the game, money is useless. But at the beginning, like, there's so many things you need to buy. But once you kind of gotten a lot of stuff, there's like shops, other than selling like gear that you find, the shops become a little bit kind of.
The shops are mundane from 10 hours on. Like, they are completely useless unless you want like a T-shaped like potions desk,
which I do,
but there's absolutely no benefit to having it like at all. Like, it doesn't get you faster potions.
It gives you 3 stations instead of 1 or 2.
One.
So,
I know, but
automatically,
I only had the 2 medium and the 2 large, and then I had like mandrakes and those other Chinese cabbages, and they were like always full. I could never grow more, and that was only with 1 or 2 medium.
So I encountered that problem as well, but the problem is you're not using them.
I know, because it's always the game is just
it's
far
always
too easy
full
for me to ever use any of that stuff. Like, I'm just like, why would I like throw grenades when a pistol shot kills? You know, like
No, I get it. I get it.
On my first playthrough, I didn't touch the items at all. Like, I didn't even want to look at them. But now on my second playthrough, I'm a good person. I'm a Hufflepuff. Nice. I'm like trying to focus on my herbology, and I'm not learning any dark spells. So I'm going total like 180 on the last one. Like, just using the items, they are very OP. Like pulling out a mandrake and throwing out some chomping cabbages. And what's the other one? It's like a
venomous tentacular.
Wow, good
thank
research
you.
there.
You can tell Kev used them.
Oh, I was flat out. I like you should have. Like, I had so many potion stations on the go. I think I could like have 16 potions brewing at a time,
and then recycle through it and get them all going again
every single time.
15 seconds for your Wigan Wall potions.
I always had a full suite of like any kind of side mission I had to go into, or quest, whatever. I always had a full suite of every potion, every plant you could have that like would help you.
I found the Felix's potion useful because it would actually show up chests, and I'd be like, okay, cool, I know there's one over there.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, I was like, I don't need to be invincible. I'm already invincible. All I have to do is hit triangle if someone comes near me, you know?
Yeah.
Or one, because that solves everything. There's always something to grab.
To pick up and throw.
That does so much damage.
So, Craig, you haven't finished it, and I guess we need to talk about where are we going with spoilers.
You go full on. I'm never going to play it.
Okay, so for those listening who haven't finished Hogwarts and don't want the whole story spoiled, this is the point which you stop listening. Or if you don't care, keep listening. And tell your friends to listen too. That helps. So, narratively, let's get to this is a Hogwarts Legacy, based in the world of Harry Potter, a world I grew up in, a world of magic that I loved. Based in the 1800s, narratively, the idea that you're someone who has access to this, reservoir of ancient magic that you can use that other wizards and witches can't. How did you think the story as a whole, with that being its basis, do you think, did it sell? Was that good enough to you? Was it lacking?
Yes.
Was it?
No, and I thought it was all right, and the reason I thought it was all right was they even said certain things like Hogwarts was built with ancient magic, and I was like, oh, I like that. That's a different type of magic than what they're messing around with in the school.
Yeah.
So that's good, but the story isn't. To be honest, I was just playing the game to be in the world, so my own immediate story I didn't really care massively about. But from a perspective of how do you make a main character, I think it made sense, to have that in there. But as a narrative point of view, I don't know what they can do next, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, Kev, did it do justice for you? I know you're a big Harry Potter fan as well. Was it enough for you, narratively speaking?
Yeah, definitely the narrative was enough. I thought I kind of guessed it as I was going. It's almost a bit like of a repeat. Like he's like the chosen one to an extent, but same as you, Colm. I was just more than happy just to dive into the world and explore the world and make myself the character and just follow the journey of the character. It got to a point where every time we were going a step further, I was like, oh, this is just going to be, I'm the person who makes this big decision about this secret power, and it's all going to be on me. And I was like, okay, I've heard this story before, just in, told differently, but it was absolutely fine. I was just all about the exploration, if you will, and just making my character my own.
And what about you, Craig? I mean, I know you kind of gave up, but I'm sure that was probably one of the weakest parts for you.
I care a lot about a story.
Yeah.
And Harry Potter, every single book has a very good story. And this game does not have a very good story. It has a very bad story. The very first couple of hours are easily the most interesting, where you're in a carriage and a dragon attacks you, and then you're flying off and you're like, what the hell is going on? And you're falling through the sky. Nothing anywhere near that level of intensity happens from that point on in this game. You get to Hogwarts, and immediately the first thing the principal says is, there's no Quidditch this year. And I was like, I can't believe he had the balls to say it openly to the player.
Here's a question. Do you think, and I think I asked you guys this while we were playing it, do you think that they had, or they were trying to get Quidditch ready and they just couldn't, and that was them just putting a rubber stamp on Quidditch isn't happening?
I don't think so. I think Quidditch is too crap a sport to get into a game, and they figured out probably early on that they couldn't do it.
It's no FIFA 23.
But you can tell by the mechanic. Do you ever fly around the actual Quidditch stadium?
Yes.
You can tell that's not how the game would play, because of how kind of clunky it is and how going up and down.
The broom is difficult. It's a bit. It is.
The broom controls do not suit that stadium for a sport.
It's a bit loose, but I think isn't each broom have different controls, better controls, or it flies differently, right?
It definitely says when you go to buy one from whatever shop you're in, it definitely does say this is light for speed, and it has different attributes. I didn't notice it. I genuinely didn't. Once you started upgrading the broom and you had whatever the generic upgrades were,
you get the boosts.
You get the boosts. Yeah.
Okay, I kind of.
I didn't notice turning was any better for one versus another. I found myself just tapping L3 the whole time just to get a quick stop so I could go the opposite direction.
Just go lower and then get your speed back.
I thought the same thing. My heart almost broke when they said they weren't going to do Quidditch, because I played
Quidditch World Cup.
Yeah, I played the Quidditch World Cup, and I had a lot of the earlier games that were based on the movies. I didn't have all of them, but I definitely had a good few, and Quidditch was a feature in a lot of them. And as a game, it does work as a side aspect to it. But I just kept thinking they'd release it as DLC or something, because you would play some Quidditch, wouldn't you?
So I mean, I play the absolute crap out of Quidditch. I wonder, they did come out and say that no DLC was going to be made for it, and I wonder if that was a lot to do with the controversy it was receiving in the lead up to its release, that they were it's probably not worth investing in DLC for this, because I think the attitude of the company was that it's going to flop based on the word that was out there, but it ended up exceeding all expectations. Yeah. So, without the controversy surrounding
in terms of sales. all expectations. We're still open debate on like whether people really love the game or not.
No, true. And I was only reading an interesting fact that it goes to show about like you guys, Kev and Colm, both of you guys saying that you were in it for the world in itself, and that the story wasn't a major, but just wanted to be there to soak it up. I only read a statistic that they released that apparently only 25% of players to date who have bought Hogwarts Legacy have finished it.
Oh, that's not a great start. But I suppose, is that a time thing? Has there been enough time?
Well, it's a month into it. And like I think some people now, for me, I was cutting it close. I only finished it like on Saturday, and we're recording this episode on a Tuesday or whatever. So I literally was now full-time job, all the rest, blah blah blah. But I do wonder, was it a case where the general consensus is that it's a great world to live in, but I care not for what's actually going on? Like, was anybody really interested in doing all the trials and getting to the end and seeing what the story was with the ancient magic, or were they like, I'm gonna go catch me some more nifflers? Like, you know.
Sorry, you had asked me about the story aspect. I'm sorry, I switched over to Quidditch just out of like necessity, but like those story elements that you're talking about, like for me as a book reader, I really wanted those. I wanted the twists, the turns, the backstabbing of like going invisible and sneaking into the library to get something that the other kid couldn't get, and use the polyjuice potion to pretend to be them, like Crabbe and Goyle, those type of things in the books. And I just thought like there were so many quests outside of the main quests that by the time I get back to doing, say, the second trial, I had no memory of what was going on or why I was supposed to be here. Like,
it's, in fairness, the whole map and the side quest, it's huge. Like I finished the game and did a lot of the side quests. I still have a ton left, but there's a whole section of the map that I never even
unnecessarily huge.
Yes,
especially because it's copied and pasted like 100 times. Like there's the outside of Hogwarts and Hogsmeade, there's the same two houses with that one shop copied 15 times. Like they're identical.
As the game was going on, it did get to the point where I was almost trying to rush the story because there was other aspects of the game I kind of preferred doing. So I found myself like, I'm gonna get some of these main quests out of the way so I can focus on the side stuff, like the whole the storyline with Man Sebastian. That's good crack. Like you go on some mad missions with him. So I found myself like kind of leaning into the side quests a little bit more as the game progressed, because there was so much of the map to kind of travel. I've been to every corner of it, and I'm trying to like do bits and pieces in every one of them to kind of close it out as a game. But I wasn't going near Hogwarts for I'd say the last 15 hours of the game.
I think that's a huge discredit to the game, because Hogwarts is easily the best thing about the game, and then outside it's a very mundane open world game.
Like you don't spend as much time in the castle maybe as you should, but then I suppose you do a lot.
I think that's down to the player. Colm, I was talking to you at the very early days of me playing Hogwarts, and I was like, no, what you really should do is, and this is one of the things that enhanced my playing of the game entirely, was I turned off all of my HUD.
To this, by the way.
Okay, good. I look forward to that. I turned off all of my HUD with the exception of, when I was outside the castle I had the spell thing on, but when I was in the castle everything was off my HUD, and I just walked around Hogwarts learning where everything was and really engrossing myself and finding. And the nice thing about Hogwarts is that every time you went back to it, or at least every time I went back to it, to do another quest there or to finish a quest there, I'd have a little walk around, because sometimes it was in different parts of the castle I wasn't overly familiar with, and lo and behold there was another little secret place I could go into and a thing I could do. Now unfortunately I think a lot of it seems like, because you do a lot with Professor Fig and one of the professors, and they're all essentially on one side. A
very bad character, by the way.
Fig. We'll get onto characters in a bit actually. Yeah. But a lot of it's based off, which is a pity as well. I don't know if it's just maybe I need to do more of the side quests to find out, but I felt myself a lot of the time returning back to the same part of the castle to speak to the same people. And I was like, later on in the game when I went back, and there was just so much more to, I kept finding things. And I actually spent a day or two being like, I'm going to go around and see how many of the field guide pages I can find around Hogwarts. And all that was an absolute blast. And Peeves kept coming out of different places and pulling pranks, and don't get me wrong, that kind of stuff isn't perfect and it's not perfectly done, but it adds all those little notes to the world inside of Hogwarts, never mind the outside of it. But I
follow your same train of thought. When I was playing through the game, and when you come back to the game, Hogwarts, later in the game, when you've got more Alohomora upgrades. So if you got the first Alohomora, you're like, oh cool, I can get into certain areas. You go in, have a little route around, and then you get like only so far before you're just like, okay, I'm locked out. Then you get 2 and 3, and by the time you've got 3, you can just wander and go anywhere. So like if you can get to 3 and then start trying to like explore around the castle, bar the couple of demiguises you might have to find first.
Yeah.
But like running around, catching all the field notes, finding puzzles and quizzes. Like I love doing all that. Like, do you remember like at my first maybe couple of days playing the game, do you know those like puzzle doors that have like pictures on them?
Yeah.
For ages I was like, why isn't my maths working? I was like 1, 2, 3, 4,
Starts at
5,
zero.
6. It starts at 0.
Yeah.
And for ages I was like, this puzzle's really hard. And then one time I was just running around and I found like a chart of notes and stuff like that, and it's just somebody who like invented it or who has been studying them, and they just have like the total tally of like it starts at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and rather than Google it, just finding it in the world, I was like, ooh.
And that was it.
excellent.
I came across a couple of those doors, and the temptation to Google it to find out what the answer was to solve these things was because even before I got into the game and I was scrolling through, just not like down on my Google or Reddit or whatever, there were so many things being like the arithmetic puzzles in Hogwarts and how to solve them. I was like, no.
Yeah.
No, just
I always just assumed it was just going to be some spell someone told me that I had to learn to. Maths rearrange the numbers in the correct sequence.
But it's quite
because everyone's a spell. You know?
It was quite cleverly done, though, and the fact that because it's up in the attic somewhere in Hogwarts that you find the sheets of paper that I found. But what was quite funny was I was playing it one time and I came across one of the doors, and Lauren just come to the room and she was just having a look to see what it was all like or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm just going to solve this arithmetic puzzle real quick here, don't mind me. And I did it. She's like, how the hell did you do that? And I was like, well, I'm a fucking wizard. That's how, Lauren. I'm living my life in Hogwarts now. I can solve whatever I want. But that kind of stuff, like, you're right. There was a temptation to go and Google everything. But what I love about those books, about the story of Hogwarts, whatever, is the secrets, the mysteries in it. And just walk around yourself and finding all the secret, different doors and everything. Like, I even came across... I don't know if it was Peeves' toilet or whatever else, but I came across one of the toilets, and there's loads of cubicles, and I don't know why, but I got into the habit of very early on opening every cubicle door because in some cubicles there was like people had set up like they'd all of their favorite Quidditch posters in a cubicle, or someone had set up a little cozy spot.
Exactly, like a potion station in one of them as well.
Yeah, it was amazing. So I think I just had a habit, and one time I opened the thing and there was just another secret door behind the cubicle, and I went in there. There was a demiguise. There was all this, and I was like, it wasn't a big spectacular reveal, but I was sitting there being like, I'm finding out the secrets to Hogwarts. Like that was just an enjoyable way to spend your time in it,
And also, it took me a while to figure this out, but while we're talking about finding secrets, did you just learn that like when you press Revelio and you hear a little ding,
the thing, yeah,
and like it's like a sonar, how close you are dictates how close it is. So if you do it and you don't hear anything, or it sounds like a symbol, there's nothing around
I
you.
heard the ding, but I never knew it registered how close or far away you were. Okay.
If you're playing it with headphones, so I've got the Pulse headphones, it's 360-degree sound. So when you hear that ping, it'll ping like where it is, based on where your character's standing. So I was going Revelio and the shit out of the things, and I was like, oh, it's behind me to my left.
How many times do you think you used the Revelio spell?
So
I don't think I went 3 seconds if I was out in the open.
I don't think in Hogwarts I made it more than 10 seconds
without using it.
Constantly,
much to the detriment. Again, that's a huge negative. It's like the Arkham Asylum, except instead of holding L1, you have to physically cast Revelio every single time.
And I don't know how you would do that differently. Do you just remove it as a thing in total? Because
you don't.
I suppose if you hit Revelio once and you can see the little blue icon, whatever it is you're trying to find in the distance, maybe it automatically adds to your map.
For longer.
Or if it just pins on your map or something, which might make it too easy. Well, if you're in sight of it, maybe it should just.
Or maybe just get rid of it altogether, because even I don't know if you guys noticed, but even the room of requirements pops up on Revelio, So I mean, there's people who in the books, Voldemort thought he was the only person who ever even found the room of requirements, but anyone who presses square will find it instantly.
So all right, so I think
they're NPCs. Craig.
Yeah, and I think
I know, but there should be a challenge.
I understand, and I'd agree. Which I think that the challenge should exist, and maybe there's a mode that you could put in where Revelio is disabled or something like that. But I think I get what you're saying, that very few people discovered the room of requirement, and you're using Revelio and you see it, but they need from a gameplay perspective, I understand why they put that in. I don't know if that's a fair statement to say well, they only 2 students found. Well, they need to give us a way to. We can't cast.
No, but we shouldn't be able to just press square every time we walk into any room and instantly know where the thing is.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I think that was probably. And because that's the thing. Like, you don't have to use it.
Yeah.
You don't.
You know?
But
it can
it's,
be tricky
it's
to
there,
find some of the
and
stuff still,
exactly,
even
it
without,
can
like
be
with the
tricky to find.
Alohomora stuff is a kind of, you have to unlock it to a certain point. And that took me a while. I was looking
How
for
did you feel
demigods.
about Alohomora as well?
I really didn't.
Oh, the mechanism
Worst,
to open it.
worst mini game
Colm's
ever.
face.
Like, as in finding the
No, but
demigods
there
or how to crack
there
the
were
code.
times when I would use Alohomora to open a door, only for there to be another locked chest in the room.
Oh,
It can
that was
happen.
And I'm
really-
like, that is unacceptable.
Yeah.
That is absolutely unacceptable.
So-
That is a complete waste of my time.
Yeah.
While we're on Alohomora, and like I got all the Alohomoras, I got through, got a lot of the chests, all the demigods, everything like that. I hated that mini game because like I came, like some of the early games I played in my early days would have been like Fallout 3 and stuff, and there's a lot of lock picking in that.
Yeah,
But in
yeah.
those games they always had like a force lock option, or depending on your skill it would be easier to do. In this game it's just no matter what level Alohomora you have, it's the exact same. So we'll probably get onto this kind of stuff eventually, but like a simple game fix that could be patched in a bug kit or whatever would be just simply, if you have Alohomora 3, Alohomora locks level 2 and 1 just automatically open.
Yeah.
And you
Oh, that's a good
don't
call.
have to deal with every single time
Having to
doing
do that little
puzzles.
mini game.
Oh, it kills a lot of momentum. And like that, when you start going looking for trophies and stuff or whatever it might be, like the field notes, you come across a chest, a door behind the chest.
But
like,
not only that, like, 'cause the only reason I'm opening this door is because I'm just like a bit of a completionist and I want to open that chest. I know factually that chest is going to contain fuck all, like nothing that I want, like a piece of gear that's either 10 levels too weak, or a piece of common nothing that I'm never going to use.
But the interesting thing about the gear was, in that I understand where you're coming from, but even if it was a lower level, you have it, you sell it, but that gear is forever saved when you're changing
I know,
the
and
look of your
that's fine,
character.
and
no,
that's
that's
grand.
not fine. That's brilliant. That's like, I think that's the best I've seen in
Brilliant.
any game. Yeah.
But you only have 20 slots to even hold anything. and
But
they're
you
selling
sell it
like
all.
crazy.
You sell it all, and you just have, because what I used to do was I'd go for a quest, get all the stuff, travel back to Hogsmeade, sell all my shit, and then go back to the castle. And if I'm doing my bits and pieces, be like, look at all these new things I can put on.
I think Craig doesn't know transmog exists. Is that what's just happened?
No.
There's a miscommunication because you don't need to have the items in your inventory to change
I
your
know,
appearance.
exactly. But what you do need to is, if you're equipping anything new, you need to go back out of the menu and then change it so that that thing is no longer visible for every single item that you change.
So
Yeah.
that is definitely
Every time.
That is definitely
That sucks.
Well, if
that's
you,
a quality of life
if-
thing for sure.
If it's like the same kind of piece item and it's a stronger level, it will carry over. So like you're putting it on, let's say the goggles to have a dragon eyes on
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
If you put it on one of them, that will carry over for all those dragonflies. So it
Well, that
does
never
do
once happened where the same gear.
It
on a
happened to
different
me a
level.
couple of times. That's why I was just like, why the hell did it save this time? Because normally
It never
did
did.
annoy me. Yeah.
For
And so-
me, I was always wearing weak gear just because I didn't want to have to pause
Yeah.
and change elf 6 things that I
Yeah.
was holding.
So they could fix that for sure, but from a perspective of just like being able to sell all your shit off and then just keep what it looks like
all
in
the
your,
aesthetic stuff
like
was
that
great because this
like
is
the aesthetic stuff?
that was like 80% of my game. So what
But
I
it
used
all
to do
looks
is
the same. It's
No,
all just
it's
slightly
not.
you got
different
you got
robes.
great
Come on.
jackets and stuff
Great
like that.
jackets? What are you
Yeah,
talking
some of the robes
The
you were
robes
locked
might
them.
have a ribbon or something on
No,
it.
no, but there's
otherwise,
actual like
identical.
there's like cool like jackets and
Yeah.
like some of the gear was like I used to do this thing where I'd be like rocking around the school in my uniform, and when it came to winter I had the jumper uniform, I had
Yeah.
my Slytherin jumper on, and with the nice heavy robe, and I was like just like soaking it all up, and then Sebastian would be like, yo, meet me at the coast, we've got some quests to do, and I'd be like, yeah, let me get my quest clothes on, and I changed into this whole. Now what they should have done was they should have had like, let's say, slots where you could save like
Loadouts.
presets,
Yeah,
exact
I
loadouts.
think so
That was
too.
a massive miss on their part, that I'd have to go in and change each piece individually every time. But I was like, that's what I loved about that world was, I mean, you know, Craig, that when I played Forbidden West and Horizon, I'd
I
go
did
to
the
it.
same there.
I went to a tribe.
It's a lot quicker.
It was a lot quicker, but I love that immersion, and I appreciate that you could do that in Hogwarts, and it could definitely have been done better. A simple R1 L1 to switch between like your thing, your scarf, your whatever else, but to have to go into a menu for your goggles and then back out of that and go into a menu for your scarf, that was a little bit painful. It could definitely have been done better.
The same with the maps as well, like the
Yes.
navigation of just to
The map was
menus and stuff.
horrendous, especially when you like, because there were times where I absolutely loved the castle Hogwarts, but there were often times I was like, I have no idea where I am, because it doesn't. If you cross into a different area, it doesn't come up that you're in a new area.
Yeah.
And you know when you're zooming in on like the different like flu networks, like
Yeah.
sometimes they're in like even the name of the Flu Network doesn't tell you the name of the room that you're in.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time you're just like, I have no idea what part of the castle that is, because it just shows you an outside grid, but there could be like several different corridors or rooms.
See, this is where I found that the real advantage was learning my way around Hogwarts so early on in the game that I was like,
this is why I wanted to counteract your point, because you were saying like, okay, I'm just going to go around doing the game and just see where the different missions take me in the castle.
Yeah.
How often did you go to the Great Hall or back to the common room?
So
or to any of the fun locations?
Absolutely.
I bet you spent 90% of the time in the astrology.
Defense against Dark Arts Tower. So I'm with you. I'm 100% agree with you that
listening
the quests,
to that crappy museum music all the time, which doesn't sound anything like a Harry Potter game. It's just the default museum music from every other game.
And it's a pity because there is so much of the castle to see and explore, but you're never forced to go certain places. And I appreciate the bravery maybe of the game design to say, no, people will want to go and explore this. But also, like, I think the idea of like talking to a professor who spends a lot of time in the Great Hall or walking around, like they'll be in different places every time you need to see them. So meet Professor Garlick over at like I don't know the entrance to the library. I couldn't find the entrance to the library. I saw that person
having breakfast a few minutes ago. Find them in the Great Hall. There's nothing like that. Like,
which is a pity because it does lead. I mean, you spend a huge. I mean, most of the time, and especially because if you're a Slytherin, you probably found it different, Kev, because you were a Hufflepuff. So your common room was the kitchens, right?
Just
beside the
They're
kitchens.
in the basement.
Yeah,
I was barely in there now. Like to your point, like I think I was in the common room, Jay's like 5 or 6 times.
The common room is very, very boring. Like other than the thing where like if you try to go into the females and it slides you back. That's a kind of nice touch.
I didn't know that's what that was. I thought for ages like, I'm gonna get to unlock that and become a prefect or something, and then I was like, oh no, it's just a women's like.
But otherwise, there's never anything cool happening. There's never like a deep conversation. Like the very, very beginning of the game, there's two people like looking into like where the out onto the lake.
The lake is.
Like, apparently, if you look long enough, a mermaid will pop up, and I was just like, I bet that actually happens. So I stood there like a gobshite for 15 minutes waiting.
And
for
it never happened.
And it didn't happen. Like I was like convinced that was going to be a thing. People waited long enough, but no. Not even that.
And again, there's a pity because I think there's certain things that they could do to improve, like the lifespan of certain things in the common rooms. Like the idea that you could. I mean, I love the idea that I could just sit down and at a table with someone and play a game of wizard's chess, like a Red Dead going in and playing poker in the saloons, like other things to do, like I have a game of gobstoppers, whatever the fuck that is, and hopefully I never have to find another gobstopper again. Like that was a stupid quest.
In-house duels or cross-house dueling,
anything like, and so this is what I mean. I think coming down to the gameplay side of the game, there is such a good foundation there for it to be improved on. I look at this and I pray that like there's another one coming out, or you do 6G or something, and there's all of these quality of life things that they'll make better, because playing through the game and walk around Hogwarts and the spells and the common rooms and all this stuff like is lacking. I'm like, this, you've just unscrew the cap just a little bit, but you need to just take the cap off.
There's enough there. It's just all done kind of poorly. But if any of them were like brought to how good that they could be, we could potentially have a really good game on our hands.
And I think one of the highlights for me, we'll kind of go into that point now, was some of the characters that you meet. I really enjoyed, like actually some of the people that you spent time doing the side quests with. Colm, your opinion on any of the characters? Anybody stick out for you that you were like, I enjoy spending time with this individual, or were they all a bit lame?
No, like because the first time I played through, I was a baddie, as I said, but then the second time I was a goodie. So the first time I very much enjoy kind of like egging on Sebastian and being like, yeah, you should do this, or yeah, like we should do this together. And then the second time I was like, I wonder what happens if I just don't speak to him at all and just like ignore him or ghost him. And
was the outcome different?
No, there comes a point where you just have to get into a mission with him or something like that. But you cannot go to like his what's the first time you go and you get given out to by his uncle?
Oh, is the local hamlet that he's in? I can't. Yeah. Oh, Felscroft or something like that.
Yeah, it's around. It's
thank God you're here, Kev.
Anyway, so that was with Sebastian. So the first time I played it, I loved egging him on, and that was all fun. But then also in the first time, something I wasn't expecting was like right from the get go, Professor Fig. I was just like, oh yeah, okay, so me and this guy almost died. That's cool. As soon as we get to Hogwarts, he's like, yeah, so don't tell anyone about this. And my red alert flags were just like, okay, this guy's going to be the main bad guy, and that's just going to be the twist at the end. And then when we're in spoiler talk, when that didn't happen, I was just like, oh, so you're just a dumbass. Like, is that just what it is? Because he was like, let's not tell the ministry, let's not tell any of the teachers. And then in the very last mission, he's like, I think we should tell the teachers. Like, you're a fucking piece of shit.
And he's like, the whole time he's like, I should have told everybody a lot sooner. I was like, well, fucking Lottie John, I could have done with that information months ago.
It's like, good thing for you, I'm a bad guy and I've been telling everybody.
That would have been great. That would have made way more sense if he was a villain.
Yeah,
I would have.
That's what I thought it was going with, you know,
because he sucks the whole time. Like, he does nothing for himself, makes you do everything, in lots of danger, and then just walks off and leaves the castle for months at a time. You're like, he's off doing something, right? But no, it's just wasting time for you to do side quests.
Yeah, I thought he was dodge or suspect at least, and
I never thought he was dodge or suspect. I kind of felt that he was like it was like a Hagrid and Dumbledore combined into like just like the asset, like the guy who's gonna like guide you or be there to help you through certain things. And I did quite like his, like, what would I say, just his tomfoolery, like, you know, the fact that he's that age and he is like, hey, you 16-year-old, we're gonna go into the world, fight some goblin rebellion. It's like there's no care for like the fact that you're playing as essentially a child, like, you know. And I quite enjoyed the silliness of all that. But yeah, as characters go, he's not great. I was a big fan of, so there's a character from each house who you befriend essentially. There's Natty from Gryffindor, Sebastian from Slytherin, Poppy from Hufflepuff, and what was the guy from Ravenclaw?
What did he do? I can't really remember him.
He only has a small
the
bit,
astrology fella, is
the
it?
astrology fella. He tells you about the astrology stuff,
telescope.
and he understands
Azir?
gobbledygook and stuff like that as well, which is like the goblin language.
I would
He's
have forgotten all
barely in
that. Those are my favorite side mission, because you got to see the stars and kind of change the location.
Yeah.
And it was one that you only do about 5 or 6 times, compared with the fucking Merlin trials, which go on for Jesus Christ. I'm going to talk about that. But the astrology things were like fun to kind of flip the map in and zoom in and out to try and line it up.
Little mini game, little tiny mini game.
I quite enjoyed that one.
But I think character-wise, like, I was a big fan of the missions I did with Poppy. You know, you went to the Free the Dragons.
Yeah.
Like her stuff was great, and she was just a big lover of like animals. And helped you get High Wing, was that the the hippogriff, whatever. Like, I like how each person had their own. Like, Natty was the one who was trying to uncover what was going on with the goblins. Or
I
Ranrock
enjoyed
or
it with
whatever.
her as well. To be honest, like I didn't mind that.
And what, like, so in Harry Potter, like the books, the story, you know that there's Durmstrang and Beauxbaton, the other schools. But I love that, like, the first time you meet Natty, she's like, oh, I'm just from this wizarding school in Uganda or wherever it was that she was from. And I was like, holy shit, like, you know. And it's a pity because, as you said, Craig, the beginning of the game, the first couple of hours really opens all this sort of stuff up, and it never keeps up that pace. You know what I mean? Like, you're introduced to all these concepts of like, oh, wizarding schools in Africa and all, and it's like, oh, that's the only time we're ever going to mention that, and then we're
I thought with her as well, like, I thought they were going to go down this route when she was like saying that she's an animagus and that her father is an animagus or animagi, however you do that. And I thought you were going to have to learn that. I was like, this is amazing. That would be such a cool aspect of the game to bring in, because when they gave you the option to be able to ride on a hippogriff or a turtle, what was the other one? The Graphorn was the other.
Yeah,
the Graphorn, and if you pre-ordered, you got your Thestral as well.
Yeah, the Thestral as
Did
well.
you
So
know,
I was like,
like,
if you could be an
like,
animagus,
you
way
have
better.
to do Poppy's quest to get access to that, which is over 20 hours into the game, where you get your paid DLC content.
Yeah.
The extra €10 we spent on this. And I thought, Darren, you must in particular have a gripe with this, since you gave out about Breath of the Wild being expensive.
You know,
This is the most expensive video game of all time. And to get it 2 days early, like, you had to pay that extra €10 and then you get a hippogriff. And I don't know if any of you used the Thestral or hippogriff, but the controls for them are absolutely terrible, to the point where a lot of the time when you fly, you can't land. The game would just glitch or stop working.
Yeah.
And your character just keeps talking to the hippogriff every like few seconds, as though like you've just mounted them. Did that happen to you guys?
I found like I liked using them because like visually it was cool. I like when I jumped
And
on the back of the
the music.
hippogriff and I started going over the lake, I was like, this is cool, this is really, really fun. But it's slower than the broom. Your broom is quicker, so like while visually it's great looking, practically it offers almost nothing.
Yeah.
You're better off just being on your broom.
Yeah,
And the broom is a lot of fun. Like
love
do you know, like when you get close to water and when you have like level 3 boost and you've got like maybe that like custom broom that looks better but probably isn't any faster. Like when you get close to the water, like you can see the waves kind of going behind you, and then like just like little things like weaving around the place, or what I started doing later in the game was like you hold L1 and you tap circle or whatever button it is to jump out onto your broom. But like a lot of times I was just like running and jumping off cliffs, and halfway down just like busting out my broom and being like, wee!
Yeah. The danger aspect. Yeah, the traversal thing was great. And answer to your question, Craig, I was disappointed that it took that long. But that being said, it wasn't that as if I was playing the game being like, where's my motherfucking Kestrel that I paid for? I was enjoying it so much that I was like, oh, because I knew the moment you came across Highwing in the Care for Magical Creatures class or whatever it was when you were first introduced to the Hippogriff, I was like, okay, we must be getting close to mount time. But then that's only like a little tease because it's not for a good while long after that. But the whole time after that, I was so distracted by like, I was just going saving dragons with Poppy, and I had a broom, so it wasn't as if I was dying to get something to help me travel around the world. And then when I had that, I was like, this is a cool bonus. And I used the shit out of the Thestral then afterwards, you know? Again, I had those moments where I was like, nah, I definitely want to be flying along on my broom as opposed to Thestral. But the music and like that, like this, one of the things I did in that game that was one of my favorite parts was that if there was a quest that I picked up in Hogwarts and I saw that it was fucking miles away, I would go into the room requirement, stock up, sell all the gear I didn't need, all that type of stuff, and I would like take a jaunt all the way. I wouldn't fast travel to the closest thing to it. I'd walk the roads. Not walk the roads. I get on a broom for some of it and fly around and land and have a look around and fight some monsters and things like that. But I made the trip to wherever this was. It would help me soak up the world so much more. And like I had the Thestral the whole time that I was flying around, and we'd land and we'd walk a little bit on the road, and I was like, oh, you know, I didn't give him a name. I should have known at this stage. But like had a bond with this thing as well. Be like, this is so good. Like I'm on a Thestral. And speaking of Thestrals, no, the game never had that same effect, like you said, the opening where you get attacked by the dragon and the guy in the carriage gets killed with you. That scene, where all of a sudden the Thestrals all appear on the thing. I was like,
it's the highlight of the whole game.
Yeah, I love it. I thought it was so clever. Such a nod to like the whole story, the universe. I was like, oh, brilliant! They've thought of
everything, and it's funny because the direction that you have in that cutscene and that section is never gets that good again in the rest of the game, which is a disappointment. And we'll get on to directions, another thing I have. But character wise, do you think they were good characters, bad characters? Did you hate did you hate the characters that were in the game, the people that you met?
Not really. I didn't hate any characters specifically. I did find it kind of nice, and then also a little bothersome that like a lot of surnames were just thrown in just for the sake of like an Easter egg, and some of them I really liked, like the Gaunt family. I enjoyed that stuff. So Gaunts and stuff, that was very good. But then just the fact that one of your vice principal is like a Weasley. I was just like, I don't think they needed to put like a direct main character's name in there, you know?
I was wondering that as well. But then like the more I thought about it, like it's so rare, like in like I suppose the modern wizarding universe, like with the movies and books and everything, that like a pure blood family would exist. There's very few of them. So I suppose there has to be a certain aspect of like the Weasleys being involved, because there really is like only a handful of pure blood
families.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be in a position of power.
Yeah,
no, for sure.
The half-bloods could easily be the principal.
And of course, with the ginger as well, their genes are strong.
Yeah. They never let up. Like I think, you're right. I think there was too on the nose, and I think the idea of having hearing a conversation in a Gryffindor common room, if you were a Gryffindor student, and saying like hearing someone say "Shut up, Weasley," or so, like that kind of nod would have been a bit like less like, you know, literally slapping you in the face with a wet fish, being like, there is a Weasley in this world and they are the vice principal of Hogwarts. Like they're just like forcing it down your throat. I'm like, right. I get it, I know what you're trying to do, but I don't need it that badly. You know. And
the principal is also a black, so it's kind of like, you know, you got two kind of direct links, so it's like, just have one of them not be a principal or a vice principal, and that's fine.
Interesting question for you guys. Speaking of the characters and black, there is a mission, of course, in the game where you have to get to the headmaster's office and you take apologies potion given to you by Professor Fig. He's the most irresponsible teacher in the school. He's like, here, I'm going to give you this.
Why didn't he do it?
I know, right? What a coward! What a coward! So he makes you drink this apologies potion. You become Professor Black, the headmaster. How much time did you spend walking around Hogwarts as him? As a question, because I came across a lot of cool things that you could do while you were playing as him.
Just with interactions with other characters, I found a few. One of them I was disappointed with, and it was Ominous Gaunt, the blind character. He says when you leave him, he's like, oh, the principal doesn't really seem like himself, and I don't know why, but just because he's blind and he's very magically attuned, I was just hoping that he'd be able to be like, those footsteps are a little different, or you know, like he kind of suss you out a little bit based on like how you're behaving and like maybe your change in pattern, but they just kind of glossed over that part. But there's some very funny like little background things where he's just running around, and it's Simon Pegg's voice, so he's just hamming it up, just being like, Weasley,
Yeah.
I'll have to give out to her later, but Professor Fig's doing a great job. And then she's just like, he never compliments Professor Fig. Yeah.
There's a great bit you can do if you walk through. You can go to the Great Hall as him, and you stand at the plinth.
Oh,
the
I
plinth,
did this.
And there's this thing you can just press the square button. It doesn't tell you what it is, but you stand there, and he was like, I feel a change in scenery is needed. The Slytherin colours, please, because that's the house you are. And I'm sure if you were, and like that kind of stuff's just great. Like, little nods that you never have to do any of these things, but you can go and do them. But yeah, I think for me, I enjoyed the characters. I thought there was a bit of life in at least the guys that you went on the side quests with. Like I said, I love doing the Poppy one. I think as well, if I was going to Hogwarts, care of magical creatures would be a thing would be right up my street.
Yeah.
And I think having someone whose literal side quests were just care of magical creatures, I was like, yeah, this is kind of cool. Like,
I get that too, but the other character, you have the choice to go with the centaur people. Is that what they're called, centaurs?
Yeah, centaurs.
Yeah, so you can go into the forest and then try find the golden snidget.
Yeah.
Which is like the precursor
to the
snitch. Yeah, that's what they used to catch, and they're almost extinct. And I was like, oh, this could be really, really cool. And like, just even the like centaurs alone, I was like, oh yeah, I get to interact with them. They were in the movies. This is gonna be sweet. And then they're just like, yeah, you kids just go ahead, and I'll go get my like troops, and we'll rally. And then like, you just go do everything, and they show up at the last second, like, yeah, we all did this together.
Yeah,
and then they take the snidgets as well. I was like, I've got a perfectly good room of requirement at home.
Yeah, exactly. So of all the kind of side characters you could choose from, that was my weakest story for me anyway. I was just kind of hoping for more out of it, especially dealing with the centaurs.
I enjoyed, like, I really enjoyed the Poppy ones because, like, it made me explore the Forbidden Forest, which I think is like one of the extra areas to explore outside of Hogwarts and then Hogsmeade. It's probably the next best in my opinion, because, like, as you said,
is the Forbidden Forest a location?
As in, like, it's there. And
I just thought it was everything,
No, there's a specific aspect of the map that's like...
Yeah, that like, when you come out of Hogwarts, that kind of, like, the western, like, slightly northwestern section of the map is all the Forbidden Forest.
Yeah.
Like,
that is it?
Yeah.
I never figured that out.
I suppose, like, I think the giveaway is, like, every second thing starts attacking you. Like, the first, like, the minute you walk in.
And, like, they have all the
smashed.
signs outside being like, do not enter Forbidden Forest by order of the Ministry. You cannot enter.
But I mean,
this
you go
place.
off in any direction and there's enemies.
Yeah, true.
But in fairness, like, the Forbidden Forest is a cool place to... I mean, you come across some cool ruins and things like that. I mean, I remember I went in there and did a little bit of... But yeah, I think, it's different. It's got a lot to live up to with all of the names and places that you know. Like, we know that the Forbidden Forest, when we watched or read the books and the films, that there's all sorts of terrible things there the deeper you go, and it's like, well, the game's only going to be so big, and how deep do you want people to go into this? But for the bits that I spent in the Forbidden Forest in the game, I was like, this is kind of like, it's dark, it's misty, it's quite, a little bit unsettling. The problem is, and this is what I'll get into next, is the Forbidden Forest or the open world itself never really sold itself to me, because the amount of different enemies is so small.
Yeah, that's fair.
You fight spiders, goblins, people, things with
mongrels or whatever.
And things with big tongues, and that's essentially it. And then you fight these like knights when you go into those trials, and that's it.
And then there's the troll boss repeated 50 times. Yeah.
So I think, and again, it's that thing where you're like, they're on, like, they are so close to, like, really.
I don't think they're that close. No.
But in terms of when you think of what they've built, this is their first, and it's WB Games and Avalanche, and this is like an open world RPG. Is not something that they are renowned for.
They're not renowned for making video games at all, like,
But in case in point that they've come out with this is their first iteration of a open world RPG, and it's not bad at all. And it's got such good foundations.
If you charge €60, then maybe that's okay. But you charge €85, then you're in big AAA studio territory here, and you have to deliver. Otherwise, is it not like CD Projekt Red? Are we not getting mad at them?
No, because Harry Potter, but Hogwarts Legacy worked,
and it was like,
my argument with Cyberpunk will always be,
Cyberpunk now is a great game.
Yes,
whereas
but
it's still not.
But with the Cyberpunk is I'll never say never forgive. You can't charge people £70 for a game that's broken.
But they charged us €85, a €10 extra, just to play the game.
Well, that was the choice, because the £70 was the standard price, right? £70, 75. I mean, that's £5 extra than any other normal game.
And then the DLC, which they purposely like kept from you for 20 hours.
Yeah.
And then just
but I see your point, but we didn't have to pay 85.
I know, but like I would definitely review it as an €85 game, not a €60 game. Like, so they have higher expectations for me than say the likes of say a Fire Emblem, which cost €50. I would rate that game on a different scale because of its set value. And I think that's a fair thing to do.
Well, see, it depends. When you talk about the pricing of games, you get into a whole different argument about, because when you're
pre-ordering, you're trying to make the argument that this is their first time and all that type of stuff. I know, but they're not charging like it's their first time. They're charging a AAA price. You know? But it is a AAA game.
But it is a AAA game.
Yeah,
it's just not the best one out there.
But that's
But how often do we get the best game ever? Like, how, you know, and especially
we don't ever get the best game ever. There's always quirks here, but there's obvious parts of the game where they got lazy or they just threw in something and then just didn't, and we're saying, oh man, if only they did this and they did this and they did this and they did this. But there's like 100 of them, you know, and they lazied out every single time. You know, they didn't add the Quidditch, they didn't add any of the extra mini games that were like looking for the chess, or even that game that I thought would be good where you could pull the ball kind of like Bools.
Yeah, Gobstones or whatever.
Gobstone, you play it like twice and then it's just done. And even when you do play it, like they can't knock your ball out of the way, and I was like, man, what a waste.
They can't knock your ball.
Knock the stuff.
They definitely can.
I don't think so.
You can hit theirs and they can hit yours. Yeah, I knocked.
It barely wobbles then.
No, it does.
You can give it a go.
Like there's like 5 levels of challenges, and eventually you take on one of the like teachers as the champion, because the teacher is the champion. You have to take that away from. I can't remember which teacher it is.
Is it the Charms guy? I think it's the Charms fella.
Yeah.
And he's a great like.
He tries to aim for your ball all the time, and I knocked his ball.
Well, that's something because that game is ridiculously easy to the point where you could just like use your last shot to get the 100 points, and then it would always be enough.
But I think, and just to go back to your point on like the pricing of the game, like Cyberpunk now was an excellent game, but it took them 2 years. 2 years.
You said that they're not going to add any DLC or anything.
No, but I think
so. This is as good as it's going to get.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that one. But I have a funny. Well, I'm not a. I would love to have been a fly on the wall in their board meetings, but part of me, I mean, DLC for games is a great way to just keep making money. You'd be a fool not to. I have a funny feeling. My opinion on it would be that they saw all of the shouting against the game in the year like prior to its release, that I'd say if they had planned any DLC, which like why wouldn't you? I'd say all that was shelved based off the fact that they probably thought it was going to flop completely. And that's what I mean. It's disappointing in that like I understand people's arguments and their anger, but I feel so sorry for the people who spent so long developing it, that like, is this what they wanted in the end, or did they pack up shop because, well, all the outcry this is getting, is it worth doing what we're going to do? But I know, we paid 85. It's a €75 game, €5 more expensive than your standard PlayStation 5 game. €5 more expensive. Yeah, I mean, why are you doing that? Just charge it at £70. I have played way worse games than Hogwarts Legacy for the money. You know, you're talking a triple game. I would consider that. I mean, in Colm, Kev, I don't know what you. I considered a AAA game.
Yeah. I was happy to like pay the price. I thought like I paid the full whack as well to get the extra bits like the Felix Felicis, all that sort of stuff. I didn't regret it at all. And like my baseline for it when it comes to a game, I suppose, is like time consumption as well. Like I feel like I need to get value for my time, and I think I've lumped 50 plus hours into this game. I'm definitely going to put more in. I think I've got my money's worth for sure. And then like the other thing that's in the back of my mind as well, like I've seen like a lot of remasters going for 70 recently. So like if a remaster is going for 70, I think just the price in games in general is just going up. And that's just the way the world is going.
Yeah. I mean, The Last of Us Part 1, a complete graphical upgrade, but it's the exact same game. They're charging £70 for that. To me, I think that's way more outrageous than the idea of this games company make their first hand at an open world RPG with a AAA size team behind it. Means they have to charge a AAA size price. I'd much rather pay the £70 for the Hogwarts Legacy experience than the remake experience.
Made in maybe 2 to 3 years. Like Zelda, which will come out here in May, has had a 6-year development cycle, and they're going to charge you less than they are for Hogwarts Legacy. And these guys are working their asses off, and they are not taking shortcuts. They did not think, oh, let's have a mini game, and like after 1 or 2 bad guys, let's just leave it.
Yeah, but they've been at Zelda games for how many years? How many years have they been making Zelda games?
Breath of the Wild was an absolute completely change in pace.
Yes, but they would have done everything before that. Like the open world Zelda games, that's what they've been doing. They are like that's what they do. That's what they've done forever. since the first Zelda game, that's what they've been doing. They've been growing and reiterating on it all of the time. This is Hogwarts Legacy's first dip into that world, that realm.
I know, but
this
you
style
either
of game.
follow through with your ideas or you remove them entirely. You don't just like throw them in half baked and expect us to just think it's fantastic, like, because it isn't. And we have every duty to call it out as not being fantastic if it isn't.
Yeah, no, and I think we've all agreed that it misses out on. There's definitely parts that it's lacking, but I wouldn't say it's. I mean, I think there's so much worse out there to pay £70 on. Like, there's absolute trash out there.
I do as well, but I also have like maybe like a way to defend the game in a way, which is like we're playing it. Were you playing it on PlayStation?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're all playing it on PlayStation, which means we all got the Hogsmeade if you got the DLC, the Hogsmeade quest.
Yes.
For your shop.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
So, by the way, that was the totally like change in tone for the game like that I ever experienced. Like,
how it went from like horror.
It went pure horror, and
Took
like
me
I
off
was
guard.
playing, and then I kept like changing the lights, and then like your Lumious would go off, and then when you turn it on, you're just surrounded by a load of mannequins.
Oh
and
yeah,
shit.
that was
Yeah.
terrifying.
And I was like the second time I played through, I speed ran it because I knew what I was in for. I was like, I'm just gonna run through this and not deal with it. But the first time I was like, what am I doing? And I was like walking around, and it took me like maybe 30 minutes to do. And by the end of it, I was like, that was creepy as fuck. But that was pretty cool. Like,
and
you
it's
know?
Interesting because this is what I mean about it. I reckon they probably had a plan for lots of DLC. So the game was delayed, but it was meant to be released in October, like of the last year. And that DLC is pure Halloween, written all over it. You fight people in a graveyard or whatever else. And my thing about it was that when I saw that, I was like, okay, seasonal stuff, like there might be a Christmas kind of quest that you do, all that kind of, because all the Harry Potter books, they're written in a story that goes through the seasons. Do you know what I mean? Every book is through a school year, a school term, so you're hitting every season. So I had every reason to think that, and it's a pity because again, I think it had a lot of had the controversies that it did in the build up to its release. I like how much is sitting on the back burner, for a game like that. Yeah. And I think that we might never know, but based on the fact that there was that extra DLC quest that you got if you had it on PlayStation, to me that just screams that they would have had plans for different things.
I think I'm kind of holding out hope that they will re-examine that.
I don't think so.
I think Kev could be onto something, because when in time have you ever known a game publisher to just stick to their word no matter what? Like, they've got a taste of money, and now they're like, I like money. Yeah. So they're gonna go after that with a sequel, sequel, or just get back on the DLC trend. I'd say that is most likely what their directives have put in.
And this is what I mean about like the idea of there being a sequel. Like, the foundation of the games in all of its aspects are great. The foundation of the open world is fantastic. Yeah, it doesn't feel a whole lot lived in, and it's missing bits and pieces. But I'll put the point in for the likes of Horizon Forbidden West versus Horizon Zero Dawn. Like, 2 games, 5 years, whatever it was in the difference. The growth in the open world that you lived in off the experience of creating that first game is massive. And I think that there's so much hope for this. Like, I mean, the expectation that they come out, like, maybe you say, yes, they should come out with a perfect game or an amazing game top to bottom. But I'm like, if it's their first time, I think there needs to be a bit of leeway given, being like, hey, we haven't had a AAA Harry Potter game really ever, like, apart from the PlayStation ones that were copies off the films that were like, okay, but
they're fun.
They were fun,
right,
but they were PlayStation 1 and 2 games.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas now that we're in a world where you get these AAA huge games, your God of Wars, your Horizons, your Halos, this is the first time Harry Potter's entered that, or Hogwarts, or the world of Harry Potter has entered that realm. I'm like, listen, as a first stab, it's not a bad shout.
And look, as a first stab, as you just said, I think they did a fantastic job, because I came away with, like House said as well, with like 60 hours, probably a little bit more sunk into that game. Possibly way more. I just realized I have a second playthrough. So yeah, I've probably got about like 80 to 100 hours in that game, and I feel like I got like an accomplished amount for my money. Like, I don't feel bitter. Oh, I paid 75 or 80, 85, whatever it might be. I'm kind of like, I enjoyed that. I got friends around me that also played it, and like I can chat to them about it. We'll all get kind of into it. Like, what was your favorite part? And then unfortunately, we all basically picked Slytherin, with the exception of Hufflepuff, which I then went and picked on my own. Speaking of Hufflepuff, a slight tangent is they have like the coolest like mission that you can only get if you pick Hufflepuff. You end up going to Azkaban prison.
You guys didn't get to go to Azkaban?
They didn't get to do that.
No way.
They got to fight a squid in a goddamn cave. That's what you got to do.
I am so surprised. That was one of the things like that for me that I loved being able to take a trip there, and I one of the things I thought the game maybe missed out on was doing that a little bit more, different areas you could go to. Why didn't we go to the ministry?
But the foundation is all there,
Yeah, so actually that's the way I think if they go down the sequel route, which I would love what I want to see from like a Hogwarts based game or the Wizarding World based game. Why can't, like, I would just love to be an Auror, and my career mode as an Auror. And if you guys want to be, you know, Dark Wizards, your career as a Dark Wizard, whatever, do that for the next game. Your career post school. I'd love it.
One of its biggest failings in the fact that it gives us options. It gives us options in conversation to be a good guy, a dickhead, or somewhere in between. Has no meaning on the game whatsoever,
Zero.
which is a big downside to it, I have to say. And the idea, like that, like you're talking about, like, give me a game where I go out into the world and I become an Auror or whatever else. Give me a game where I do like my 7th year in Hogwarts, and you choose like the career path. So you do a part of the game in school, experience Hogwarts in all its glory, and then go out and like see like the Ministry, Azkaban, all these different places, different parts of the world that you can go and see. I'm like, there's so much potential in it, and based off what I've played, I'm like, if a sequel is possible, if a sequel's in the works, if after all the controversy they'll go and dip their toes back in the pool and make a second one, I'm like, there's so much to build on from the game that I'm like, I'm quite optimistic about if a sequel does exist, it can be great, you know. Like, I mean, this is a good game, but we could have a great game. To kind of, before we go into wrapping up and kind of what you guys would change, just to go into little bits.
Wrapping up, barely touched anything. Like.
Well, is there a particular topic you'd like to get into?
Well, I mean, we haven't even spoke about the controls or the combat at all.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, what did you guys think? For me, like, I absolutely hated the fact that a lot of the time when someone said put up a purple shield and I needed to hit them with a purple spell, often, even though I very clearly hit the direction that guy was in and pressed R2 and triangle or whatever it was, it would always just fire at a random enemy.
So there is a way to fix that. If you do
right click.
Huh?
Right click to target that individual person.
Yeah, so
I know, but I hate doing that as well, because then I have to flick with my right stick to flick like, it should be like Arkham Asylum. Have you guys played the Arkham Asylum games? When you did a combo of say 6 to 8 attacks and you like then unlocked your finisher, if you like press the direction of say a bigger unit and hit triangle circle, it would always get that guy every single time. Like, it was the same where like there's a guy about to fire his gun at you and you want to hit him with a batarang. So long as you aim in the general direction of that, the game knows who you want to hit based on the type of thing you're using. Whereas this did not have that at all. The amount of times I like froze an enemy to then use the slice spell, only for that slice spell to just randomly shoot off in a random direction, I was like, this sucks. Like, why is it doing this?
So if you can get used to it, and again, I guess it's one of those things that maybe have improvement, but if you can get used to it towards the end of the game, and especially when I was doing the last couple of quests, I got the hang of, like, the moment I walked into a fight, I pressed R3 to lock on to whoever, and then there's a quick cycle of left and right to cycle through the guys, and that way, that takes a bit of getting used to, don't get me wrong, but it does teach you that right at the very beginning of the game, and I'm sure if you're doing it right from the very beginning of the game, it probably alleviates a bit of that pain.
I have to move my hands to, like, holding R2 triangle and the right I can't do that with my fingers. I have to move my left hand away from the control stick to touch the right one just to be able to do that. And I was like, it's so clunky to me that like I can't do that just because it breaks the immersion completely. Like, I have to stop for 2 seconds to try and target someone else.
Did you guys enjoy, Colm, did you like the fact that you could have 4 spells on 4 directional buttons for a total of 16 different things to use in a single fight? Did you find that easy to use, hard to use?
At the beginning, I found it kind of tricky. By, I don't know, a couple of hours into the game, I was pretty proficient, and then like on my second playthrough, I did it on hard, and that was a bit more of a challenge. I'd recommend that maybe if you're complaining about being too easy. But in terms of controls, I can kind of get it, but I also found that I was like putting a lot of my like combinations in the same category. I would also color code them, so I'd have one purple, one yellow, maybe 2 red, depending on which thing I
did the exact same thing. That's so funny. And
I always had like purple on the top, red on the bottom, and then
I would do purple left, green, yellow was right, and then like had the other ones kind of stacked between up and down. But just like that, like I very much so got into like the first playthrough all dark arts, so you didn't go down the same dark route as me, but I got like in the dark arts tree all of your like curses on like every kind of spell you can cast. So when you cast like if I use Expelliarmus on you, you get cursed. If I use Flipendo on you, you get cursed. Any spell, Glacius, you get cursed. And then later in the game, you get Crucio, which is crap. I don't care what anyone
Useless
says.
spell.
Useless.
So little
terrible.
damage.
It takes 30 health. It takes nothing.
Even if you hit a troll with it, it's doing fuck all.
No,
does
it's amazing.
nothing.
Crucio's amazing, right? So
Alright,
Crucio is the only unforgivable curse I learned, right? But there's a bonus skill that you can get
But
on
all
the
the
talent
dark,
show.
yeah, that's only in the dark arts. But that works with everything.
Yeah.
That works with Expelliarmus or Stupefy.
Which
That what you're
Add
talking
the curse
about.
onto it.
no, not added a curse onto it. If you hit someone with Crucio, and this thing meant that every time you went and further hit that person, loads of these kind of, you know, the way Crucio was like this red electric lightning, that was the kind of thing that would shoot out of the enemy that you Crucioed.
Did you have to upgrade your wand core to get that, or was that always part of
no,
it?
that was in the Dark Arts tree
Yeah.
somewhere.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
the only thing that you could do to improve Crucio as a spell.
Okay.
But I remember I was doing the end part of the game when I was fighting the trolls, and I'd Crucio the troll, and that's the only person I was hitting the troll with so much stuff that the other wizards were getting wrecked by what was coming off him, and they were just
Okay.
dropping dead. And I was like, I'm glad they're the only one. Crucio, I think if you
So it's the upgrade to Crucio.
Right.
Okay,
is worth it.
Well,
yeah,
Darren,
like
you're-
every upgrade, it's just more damage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and your statement at the start was Crucio's the best. I'm not even going to tell you what the best is yet. I'm going to actually bypass the best one and going to go straight for Avada Kedavra being so OP as fuck. And
Oh,
still
Avada
not even the
Kedavra. I can't
best.
believe you said Avada Kedavra was OP. No, the transfiguration spell to turn someone into a barrel.
No,
And
Well,
then
the
or
exploding
one
barrel,
instant,
then you
like so
that
that's
was
killing
great.
3 or 4
Yeah.
people instantly.
Yeah.
That's way better than
That was my
Avada Kedavra.
go-to move.
And
I'd
it was
go
so
in.
OP that
Yeah.
I unequipped it because I was like, no, I can't use
It's
this because I'm
useless.
already pressing or1 all the time.
Yeah,
because
fair
there's just
enough.
shit everywhere.
It's just interesting, like around the table, listen to how, because that's again another good thing about the game was that it gave you the option to go into combat and fight the way that you wanted. I only learned one unforgivable curse. I mean, I'm assuming you guys got all of them.
I got all that shit.
I decided not to take Avada Kedavra. For some reason, that's where I drew the line.
What?
I
Imperial is fine.
No,
I often
Imperial was
walked
fine.
around just yelling Avada Kedavra at people for no reason, so I was definitely getting that.
Yeah,
too.
I don't know what it was. I was just like, no, I shouldn't know that. I'm going to kill people by turning them into an exploding barrel. That's going to be my method of murder.
I
Like,
mean, that is a way more destructive way to die, like turning someone into a barrel and then throwing that barrel at someone and
Yeah.
that blowing up, killing
Yeah.
them and their friends.
So, Colm, if if Avada Kedavra isn't the
Well, I want to tell you about Avada Kedavra can be super OP.
Yeah.
But we'll get into the other one in a second. And like the barrel is very good, but it doesn't kill the person that you've turned into a barrel.
It does if it
If-
explodes at
If
them, yeah.
they're like one of those big brutey guys.
No,
it
big
doesn't
you
die.
can't turn
It
them,
doesn't even
though.
work on
Yeah,
them.
it
No,
just
you
like makes them
like,
wobble.
you know the way like if you catch somebody when they're in the middle of a move, you can kind of affect the
Okay,
like you
yeah.
can flip over or like catch a dewbog by his tongue.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you can't
Yeah.
do that unless you catch him when he's about to hit you.
Yeah, so when those big guys are doing those spells where they cast lightning or AoEs,
when they're, like,
susceptible.
conjuring.
They're
Okay.
susceptible to be.
If you throw like one of them at their friend might die. He takes damage, but that other guy takes damage too. But he just reappears
Yeah.
and then just gets up. So they don't die always.
Oh, that's a bit.
They
might.
take a lot of damage though.
Yeah, but they don't die. So Avada Kedavra though, with the like thing you can get onto that, and again, if you invest in the Dark Arts tree, realistically, this is the most OP thing. But I want to get into like a different one with you.
Yeah.
So Avada Kedavra, I use Flipendo, all these things. Your curse, your curse, your curse. You can get up to like maybe 10 spells worth of curses on 10 different enemies.
Yeah.
And then you can chain them all into a one-hit kill by using Avada Kedavra.
Yeah.
And you see like the green lightning just like zapping between the people that have been selected, and you just feel like what Voldemort probably felt like just walking around,
I'm
just like
so
people
badass.
just like dropping to the ground. You're like, this is very, very cool. But like if you don't use that Dark Art tree and you don't chain all those together, Avada Kedavra on its own is pretty crap. The best Dark Art spell 100%
Imperio.
has to be Imperio.
I totally agree.
I mean,
totally agree.
Imperio, did you know? Imperio, you just get like a troll to be on your team. He beats the bollocks out of absolutely everybody around. And then I only figured this out way later as well. But if you just walk up behind that troll, you can use like petrifying Patronus or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
you can
do that?
stun him,
I didn't know
and he
that.
stays under your
didn't
control.
know
So you
that
could just
either.
do that like 2 or 3 times, and he's just dead. I figured out real late.
Oh, that's cool.
But just the fact that I had a troll on my team, and then he was still on my team, and I was just there blasting him with
And the
spells.
interesting,
I was just like,
the
well, I'll
interesting
just
thing
kill
about
you
the cooldown for that is by the time the Imperio has left him, your Imperio is pretty much good to go again,
Yeah.
which is a weird balance thing that, you know, you think that they would remove the effects of Imperio well before you can use it again, but you can essentially have any enemy constantly under your control for the duration of a
Come on,
fight.
I mean, guys, if you walk into any battle situation, just keep hitting R2. Every now and then hit R1, and then when the pop-up comes up for L1 and R1, you'll win every fight. Like.
It
And
is
that was
hard
on
to
hard.
lose
I
the
played on hard
fights.
mode.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I stopped getting those ancient magic things because I was so sick of hitting L1 and R1 and just watching everyone die. You know, I was like, I'd like to do something myself.
Yeah, I'd say like throughout the game, I probably only died about 5 times, and I know a lot of that was because I had my room of requirements stacked. Like I went into every situation with like 25 wig and well.
I must
so,
have
like,
been
the odds
crap
and
at this game.
like-
I just never equipped anything anymore. I even stopped, even when I leveled up, I didn't care to get the next upgrade because every upgrade is more damage. That's all everything is, except the ones that give you the extra slots for your magic, which are essential.
Yeah, they're
especially
very
because
important, yeah.
having room of requirement spells on your 16 slot is fucking stupid.
So that was.
Yeah,
It
I
took me a
just-
long time to
didn't
realize
use them at all.
Yeah,
I
I
used-
got rid of them instantly.
So
was
I
like,
quite-
I'm never going to use these.
I quite enjoyed. I designed a little bit of because in the room of requirement you can get the thing where you put your beasts into, and I did spend a little bit of time in that building a little ruined castle for them all to run around.
I saw
in.
videos of people
Such
doing
a
that, like
waste of time.
Minecraft.
Oh, it was
I can't
great,
believe
man.
you
It was
did
like
that.
it was like The Sims meets Harry Potter. You know, it was just like a nice because the music when you're in the place with the beast, you stay in there for long enough. It is such a great bit of music as well, so relaxing. But I used to keep it on like on my down on the D-pad. There's a lot of repeats, yeah. But I used to put all the things like the brushing, the feeding, and the bag for capturing on my down, and I kept it on like the down on the D-pad, so that was where those 4 spells were locked. There were so many times where I got into fights, and you're kind of jamming on switching things around. Then I'd be fighting everybody and be like, Flipendo and Bombarda, and I was like, here's some food. I'd like accidentally just throw some food to the
Start
side,
rushing
like,
him or something.
Yeah. Oh, there's no beast nearby.
Those
And I was
spells
like,
too
"Ah."
shouldn't have been there.
So it took me ages to get because I used to like having that as a thing where I'd have like either feeding or like Lumos or Reparo. That was like my utility spells, but that was
Eventually,
stupid.
yeah, I start putting those ones to the side. The stuff that you'll use once every 10 hours
Yes.
and then just get rid of forever.
All my 4 were just for battle. Like I would swap in and out the beast care ones or
Whenever you required
whenever
them.
I need it, because like I didn't need it that much. But I did the opposite of you by accident, where like as opposed to like in battle taking out the brush, I went into the vivarium and I wanted to like do some beast care, and I was like Crucio, and I was like oh god.
And they run away from you as well. I did it a few times.
I was
by
like, I'm never
accident.
going to earn my trust back of this hippogriff.
But speaking like, because you talk about the morality side of things, a part of the game that I found really interesting, because we've talked about the unfigurable curses here a lot. The first quest that you go to get the Crucio, that unfigurable curse, was one of my favorite quests in the game in terms of that it was quite like the whole thing about it was very, very dark. So you got to go. It's like Gaunt's family or aunt went to try and find something good about Salazar Slytherin. She always believed that there was something good about him, so they're trying to find his library or whatever. And in order to get there, you end up in a corridor where there's this horrible door of like screaming faces at the end, and the only way you can get through that door is by casting Crucio on another individual. And Gaunt's poor aunt went by herself, so she just starved to death and died in this corridor, trapped because she didn't. But the fact that you had this conversation between you and Sebastian and Gaunt being like, we have to get out of here, and Gaunt's like, I told you never should have come here, like that's a horrible thing to have to do, and then you and Sebastian be like, well, one of us has to cast Crucio on the other. I was like playing the game.
That was my favorite quest in the whole game.
I was sitting there being like, this is dark.
Yeah.
And it was this thing where like I used Crucio in that moment, and that was like a lesson enough for me to be like, I'm not going after any more for unforgivable curses. Crucio was the only one I had throughout the game because of that quest. And like you cast Crucio and this screaming door screams until it opens, and I was like, oh man, the dark arts are like fucked up. But it was so good that
it's
they
a real
actually...
shame though that Sebastian doesn't learn that same lesson. I mean, in the very next quest, he's just like, I have no choice. Imperio! Now kill yourself. You know, like...
Yeah,
and
Sebastian's
then, like, he's
a
fighting
dark
his
dude.
uncle, and he's like, Avada Kedavra! And he's just like, I had no choice. You're just like, you could have used any spell in both those situations, and it would have went the same way. Yet you chose to be... And I was like... Because Sebastian I loved at the start, and like those morality things, but eventually he's just being evil for the sake of being evil, like, you know. And you're like, man, this would have been great
Slytherin.
to have the whole light and darkness and blur the line, but no, Sebastian's just going pure evil.
Is that when you learn about a cadaver? Because I remember thinking I had the option to learn it where like my 2 sentences back where everyone should know that spell or nobody should know that spell.
Yeah, that is.
So you have to be. I said nobody should know it, thinking he'd be like, well, I'm going to teach you anyway.
Yeah, you can go back and talk to him. Apparently, I don't think it locks you out completely.
Oh,
So if you
okay,
find
okay.
him, as long as you haven't like turned them into the
No, I've left them be. I've left them be.
the mentor lads, you know what I mean?
No, I think the combat, one of the things that really, when I started playing the game, and the combat does get old as time goes on, a couple hours in, but there is something very satisfying about the normal R2 attacks.
What do you call that, Darren?
See, this is unfortunate because that should have been. That should
I
have
always
been,
wanted them to reveal what that attack
That should be
was.
stupefied.
It should be stupefied.
That should 100%
But
should be stupefied.
even in the books and the movies, that doesn't have a name, and like the characters are constantly like
just a little flick of the wrist,
and like there's no red, there's no green. It's just a little puff of air. It's supposed to be a default spell, and I'm like, what is that spell?
But they're all using it, in fairness, in the Order of the Phoenix, in that film where you first see them all, like where you first see Aurors versus Dark Wizards, and it's that thing in there where the mirror of whatever it is that Sirius
Eris
falls through.
and
And they're
stupid mirror.
That stupid mirror. But they're all there fighting, and it's the noise. They're like, all that stuff's like is amazing. And then the Dark Wizards arrive, but they arrive in that ball of mist that is also very, very cool. And I was like, when I first started playing and was putting together the R2 combo, I was like, I look deadly, because like you even do that thing where you swing around under your arm, and I'm like, I'm so cool. And then one of the first new skills you can learn is that if you hold your dodge roll or whatever it is, you'll fly forward.
Wasn't that great for like 10 seconds?
I still use it because I fought one of the end bad guys, Rookwood. That fight against Rookwood was great, but that whole thing was class because I was like, dodging and Protego and myself and doing that mist, disappearing off to this. I was like, this is so exciting.
But it doesn't look good. Like when you hold L1, like you always jump and start like as though it's like a fucking rocket ship, and you've just like pull on the brakes.
I quite like how it looks. Yeah,
like
I
you can never kind of go teleport, attack, teleport. Like it's really stingy.
But you're also a 16-year-old kid who doesn't know everything.
Were you ever like running in the open map and holding L1, really hoping that it would just last longer and you could just go? The amount of times I was like, man, if only this went on for a couple more seconds, it'd be amazing. But it doesn't. It juts every single time.
But did you find the combat getting old for you? Like, you're a guy who's played through it now like almost twice. Did you find the combat to be a terrible pain?
Not a terrible pain. No, I enjoyed it. By the time I had finished the first time through, got back into the hard mode, and it's like I'd obviously had a lot of experience under my belt at this stage, but I was finding some of the bosses and stuff quite tricky. So I mean, I'd say if you're finding an absolute walkthrough, if you can change the difficulty at any point, just switch it up to hard, and you'll die from time to time, but you'll still kind of breeze through.
I must be really bad at the game. I died a lot I played through
I
normal.
died enough because I never ever equipped any gear, so I could only ever take 2 hits and I die, But I was fine with that because, like I said, just hit R1 and you're just gonna throw something at them and it kills them almost instantly. There's always something to R1, always,
I found with the combat as well. Like I got really into to enhance it for myself. I got really into the potion side of it. So I'd tactically be like, I'm going to take Maxima now, and now my Edoras potion, and now the Thunder Brew.
And they
looked cool.
Yeah, they looked cool. Which one was it that turned you into kind of stone?
Edoras.
That looked, and
you
could combine Edoras and Maxima, that you were like this glowing red stone
you
person.
You could take as many of them as you like. Like I went into some of the the Rookwood one. Oh man, I absolutely destroyed them because I had 10 of each of these potions. So I was like, come at me, boys. Yeah. There's no way you're getting me. I loved it.
I think the combat had, and again, it's that thing that I like about this game is that it's not perfect, but there's so much potential in it.
A lot of potential.
If they fixed the targeting.
Yes.
I think it could have been a lot better. And most of the spells, those rumor requirement spells, even Reparo, that should be just something you walk up to the thing and you press X.
Yes.
There's no need.
You shouldn't have to equip it.
And that's the thing. There's all these things that they tried, and it's like, okay, it doesn't work. Like the Alohomora doesn't work the way they wanted it to. Well, I mean, I don't know if they wanted it to be like that, but it just doesn't work. It's boring. It's tedious. Reparo is tedious as well. Lumos is a little bit tedious because you come across the Devil's Snare.
Yes.
And I never had it equipped, and I'd always be running through these caves, and they'd be like, oh, why am I getting hurt? I was like, oh, fuck, I need Lumos again. It's obviously Devil's Snare here.
I thought the inclusion of Devil's Snare was really cool. I wasn't expecting it, and then I was like you said, I was just running. I was like, why am I taking damage? And I think I used
one of the buddies
Hermione says in book 1, Devil's Snare hates sunlight.
Yeah. I mean, that was pretty cool. But then those puzzles where you have to get the butterflies that they're painting.
That's the worst puzzle.
The butterflies thing is the biggest waste.
There's so many of them as well. And they're always just run off in 3 separate directions for 30 seconds.
No need.
It's
I'm going to leave you guys to talk about that. I'm going to go run to the loo for a second here. I might ask you if I could move by you there, Craig, real quick. But yeah, please keep talking about the horrible challenges in the game.
Oh, please. Okay, so look, that's that one. But realistically, on my first playthrough, I also started playing through. Also, I should preface this, I'm not just someone who doesn't work or anything. got really sick with like a viral infection or something at the time, and I was out of work for like a full week.
No, there's
So
no
I
judgment here.
Yeah. So I just had like all this time just to play that, and I couldn't like go out or do anything. So I had the time, and I wasn't like, you know, neglecting other responsible duties that I should have been doing. But in my first playthrough, got into the game and just started milling into the Merlin trials towards the end of the game, and like the Merlin trials, the point of them is to increase your inventory space. And I was like, that is the shittest reward for like that's the kind of thing that I said this in the past to the guys, like when we were chatting, but like, do you know, like the beast shop in Hogsmeade? I thought it would have been cool. Like, oh, if you go there, you'll be able to buy cool items to upgrade your gear, because you're getting like cool items from animals and all. But the only real upgrading things you had was from your loom in the room of requirement. But like, I thought it would have been cool. Like, oh yeah, you buy like a backpack made of dragon scales or unicorn fur, and that will increase your thing. But it's like, no, just do like 20 Merlin trials. You'll get like 4 spaces. Then do another 20, and you'll get another 4 spaces. Like, this
and
is
none of them are fun.
No, none of them are fun. Some of them, they're so samey.
Like,
they recycle.
blow up
I
these
still,
fillers.
to this day, like, I'm like, what are those? Like, a lot of the time, the task was to pull these 4 bowling ball looking things. What the fuck were those things? Why are they on a chain, and why did they go into this little
I suppose they're like,
I had no idea what they were.
Yeah, I suppose like what else do you do? Like, I suppose it's such a
How
small
did they come
little.
up with gather 4 bowling balls on a chain?
It
and
was
put
a
them in this
strange
little
one.
slot? I was like, what is that? What does that mean?
One of them took me way too long to figure out as well. Like, do you remember the one where it's like, it looks like Moonstone is trapped in one of the pillars, and you have to like use a Lumos?
Oh, I know the exact one. Yeah, any Lumos
these,
ones
like
take time.
fleas or flies or something over to
Yeah.
They like what? Like, firstly, it took me, I don't know. Like, I ended up actually having to Google it. I won't lie. I couldn't figure it out, and it was really pissing me off. And I was collecting inventory like a madman, so I wanted to unlock as much of that.
Because you have to keep just selling it nonstop. And you're like, all right, yeah.
Got to keep my store ticking over in Hogsmeade. Yeah.
Little, what's her name again? Dolly? No.
Penny.
Penny, yes. Penny's just
She was
there.
quite disturbing looking,
Yeah.
actually. She was in the first mission, and she was like, my lady master. And I'm like, who the fuck is this?
I thought she was like, I was like a really weird looking old woman. I was like, is this a house elf, or is this a person who's gotten small with age?
Yeah.
She also tries to murder you. I'm just going to throw that out there. Like,
Yeah.
not
Early
directly,
on,
but
yeah.
by like feigning knowledge of anything. She's just like,
But she's got the classic, that's what I like about her. She's got the classic Dobby, I can't go against my master type thing going on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing as well, like that. Because I don't know if you played that side quest, Craig, did you? So there's that, and that's huge. That goes on for quite a while. There's a couple of parts to it as well. Basically, this woman owns a shop and she wants to sell it to you, but it's all a ruse for her to kind of trap you in the realm with the ghost of her husband or something.
no, she tells you to go get some belongings of her husband, but really it's just a ruse to get you into that room, and then all of her previous tenants she's been sending into this thing, and then the ghost guy has been just tormenting them.
Yeah.
And they seem to like break down and have to go to St. Mungo's, who's like this, not just a psychiatric hospital, but they're like the hospital for like people who are broken or something has gone wrong.
Yeah.
So like by the end, she's just luring you down there through some kind of relationship with your man, because when you finish the quest in the, you know, with the ghost, and then you come to a bargain, you strike a bargain with them. The bargain is basically, you can come into my shop after 9 p.m. and you can do that like twice a week or twice a month or
Haunt
something.
the shit out of
And
the
then
shop.
and then like the cool thing at the end of that is just like, the main character is like, oh, by the way, Penny, we're gonna close right before 9 p.m. And you're like, yeah, we got him.
Yeah.
But there's just in like relation to the ghost, when you finish up with him, he says, oh, tell whatever the girl's name who owns the shop, she did a great job sending you to her, or sending you to the ghost, because like all the others weren't able for. So it just set up this history that she just keeps sending people to him.
It's quite
He
dark.
wrecks
It's
them,
really
and
dark.
she
The whole-
just keeps
the whole
getting more
quest is
money,
quite-
you know.
Yeah, that part, and that's what I mean, because that was definitely kind of an add-on. That was like, hey, if you're playing on PlayStation, you pre-order, you get this quest, and I was like, oh man, if only there had been a path that they were telling us that they had X, Y, and Z lined up and all this type of stuff. You know?
Also, sorry, we just touched on it there, but so you did that quest, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know at the very end, and this is just going back to a character specifically, because I told you about how I thought Professor Fig would have a little twist and he'd be the villain at the end.
Yes.
Had the same feeling about one other character. Okay? At the end of the Hogsmeade thing, not just from this quest, just from general incompetence, it seems, the police officer of
she's
Hogsmeade
useless.
she even gets taken out by that witch who like whose
Immediately.
house you or like shop you buy off like immediately, and then you take care of her, and she's like, oh thank you, I'll just take care of her from now. And then like trolls come and she just runs off somewhere.
But what's
to fight
interesting,
another one.
and I was playing this in the game in a state of disbelief because I was like, why are they letting this 15-year-old, 16-year-old deal with all this sort of stuff? And then I remember the Harry Potter books, and
fair
from
enough.
the point
Yeah.
that Harry's 10 years of age, he's like saving the world constantly. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
that's just how the world works.
The difference is usually that's in Hogwarts, like in the castle, and he's kind of wrapped up in it because there's a lot of shit around him.
Dumbledore's got his back, all that jazz.
Yeah. This is like in Hogsmeade, where you would imagine there's a lot of proficient wizards, some form of security, like other than just that, like
One-
that wizard,
yeah,
that lady
yeah.
wizard. And like, I was just, okay, she must be a bad guy because the amount of things we've like, well, me and my friends, we've gone exploring. We found out Rookwood's the villain. We've got all this dirt on him. We've got like witnesses that will all testify against the guy. And then she's just like, yeah, I'll follow up on that. And you're like, do your goddamn job. Like, am I going to have to do? And you do. You do have to take out Rookwood and his amigos. So in the end, it's just like, all right, like she's got to be in on this somehow. She has to be the villain. And then she's not. And you're like, right, well then you're just shit at your job and you should retire and let fucking some Auror come in and let him teach
Yeah.
me the ways. How about that?
Yeah.
Sequel of material right there.
Yeah, the aura for Hogsmeade. Like,
That's
you know.
how I'm actually playing the game now. Now that I finished the main story, I'm playing it as like I like to consider myself like the Dark Knight of Hogwarts, Hogsmeade, and the surrounding hamlets. Like I've changed all my garb. Like I'm wearing dark stuff. I've got the wolf mask on. I've changed my broom, so it's got like the fire coming out of the back. I did up like the room requirement to be dark and mysterious, so it's my little back cave, and that's just how I'm playing it now. I am doing her job for her.
Yeah.
I'm going
Nice.
around just solving all
Some
of
of
the
his
little
problems. I love it.
yeah. And that's just like my next. I suppose like I'm not gonna complete it 100%. No way.
Yeah,
Like,
there is too much. Like even I won't go that far. I just was like, no. I also like, so one reason why I got locked out of some quests. I mentioned it to you, Darren, in person. Basically, I did all the side quests, all the main missions, but in my inventory, I'm locked out of one quest, which is like a known bug. Just if you happen to be unlucky enough to get stuck in it. Essentially, there's a mission when you're in Hogsmeade and you speak to a goblin near the bridge and the water, and he asks you to go find his mooncalf biscuit. And so basically, it's just a simple mission. You go to some bandit camp, beat the shit out of everyone there, unlock the bleeding thing with Aloha Mora, and then bring Biscuit back to your man. And essentially, if you go to that bandit camp before the mission is available, even though the biscuit's not there, when you go back later during the mission, then it's just, there's no lock. There's nothing you can do to open it. So Biscuit's in there with loads of other mooncalves. You're just walking around this cage. You can't do anything. I had to like, that was the only time I really had to Google something. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, is there a way you're supposed to open chests, or is there a spell you get later? And it was like one of the not game breaking, but it just means that by not having that quest finished, I can't get the like all quests passed. And like, on my new profile, I have to make sure I don't go free biscuit or like attack that camp before I get the mission.
Yeah.
So like little things like that, and like some kind of hope is that they'll release patches and they'll fix little things like that. That's just a tiny annoyance, but they could do like quality of life changes.
Do you know they brought out an update, a quality of life update. I don't know if any of you has noticed it because it came out like 2 weeks ago maybe. You know when you fast travel and you arrive at and your one speaks to you and she's like, off on another adventure, are we?
Yeah.
Traveling was very hard before I invented glue powder. And every time you land somewhere, she says they updated it so she talks way less.
Oh, great.
Because every time you landed, she had a catchphrase, and I was like, and
They
she only
should
has
update
3.
the main
Like,
character too, like, because I'm sick and tired of hearing that all roads lead to Hogsmeade. You know?
yeah, all that. Because that's it. Like you run out of catchphrases
Because
very, very
sometimes
quickly.
like you're actually in a shop in Hogsmeade, and by leaving the shop, it triggers him saying it again. Like you'll literally go, something out of a storybook.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, it's something very cozy about Hogsmeade.
Yeah. You're just like, I'm still here. I haven't left. Like, you know.
Is there any other aspects of Hogwarts Legacy that you guys are keen to bring up? Anything that you thought of that you wanted to talk about before we go into our kind of our conclusion?
Did any
our
of you
rating?
notice any canon breaking changes?
Canon breaking.
I noticed 2.
Go on. What were they?
Well, one is that if you fly outside, you can tell very easily that the central tower is the tallest building in Hogwarts. That is incorrect. because the astronomy building is supposed to be the tallest, where Dumbledore gets blasted. That is in the books the tallest part of Hogwarts.
But what I like to think about it, because I know you're saying canon breaking, but this is 200 years before.
I don't think Hogwarts has changed.
You never know.
They could have been renovated.
Yeah, they could be renovated. They could change the towers.
They can do magic,
what's your other one?
My second one is the little girl who gives you the little puzzle, or the little like tests, the questions. She's like a little third year. But one of the questions, she just straight up asks you about Horcruxes. And I was just like, man, even Dumbledore doesn't know what Horcruxes are. Yeah. And you had to, in book 6, you have to go ask Slughorn using Felix Felixus while he's plastered in order to get him to talk about it. And this little girl is openly talking about Horcruxes. And I was like, you can't do that, like, you know?
Because I think that's, like, going back to the point where they named the vice principal Weasley. It's too much. Yeah. It's like, we know that you don't have everything.
She's trying to go, book and movie. I know what these are. But I'm like, no, you should not know what that is.
There's too much of that kind of shoehorning book stuff into the game. I think that is necessary, because the moment they said 1800s, I was like, well, I'm ready for zero references to the world, with the exception of I'm a wizard or a witch, having fun.
All they have then is surnames, and that's what they milked big time.
Like, the only thing is, like, I noticed that, like, a canon breaking, but I suppose, like, it has to be done for, like, the point of the game. Like there's no spell to make yourself invisible. Like, that's not a thing. And
just
like,
a potion.
But there are like cloaks that do have that type of stuff.
And that was another thing that kind of, like, I think it's what you say you disliked the third trial. Was that the third trial that was all about the
Deathly Hallows?
Deathly Hallows. I kind of rolled my eyes at that one a little bit.
Because they just put a black and white filter on the screen and went, there you go.
They changed the style of everything as well, and it was
not
kind
in a good way,
Yeah, I was kind of walking around being like, again, too much on like we've done the Deathly Hallows, like it's
again compared to Arkham Asylum to the Scarecrow stuff, which was
so good.
Can I also say, just in the realm of this, is like games that you can compare it to, like for me, the way when I started playing this game was it was very much like a Witcher 3 game with a Harry Potter filter on the top of it. And like, I'm not complaining about that being a bad thing. I very much so like thought it was like just like The Witcher 3. You go like exploring, you're like, oh, I'm in a new area. It's like, there's a town over there. Oh, there's a little quest there as well. And like that was very much the outside of Hogwarts experience for me. It was like kind of wandering around. I very much enjoyed flying around. And toward the mid game, I just flew to every flew point, stopped into little towns and stuff like that. So I had the whole map fully unlocked. And then, like, as I said, like later on in the game, if you're forced to go down to the very south of the level, I'll fast travel. I'm not flying all that way. I'm not Darren.
Yeah. I've done it once. No, I'll do it once. I'll make that journey the one time, the long. I'm doing that every time. I have
for the first like 5 or 6 hours, I did it every time just because it felt nice.
Yeah. So like, like when you fast travel down to these locations, especially when they're really far away, and then you're just kind of like, oh, here's a new town. Like there's one town called like Craigfeld or something, is it? It's like the very bottom.
Craigsfeld.
Don't let them trick you. Every town is identical to that one you just were at. Like
well, like even still, it's just nice to go to a little town and whatever else, and then like
how is it nice going to the same place you were 2 minutes ago?
Craig, people can think these things are nice.
Yeah, I got enjoyment out of it.
It's very upsetting.
And I thought the map was huge, and especially like you're like, oh, there's nothing else. Like even just the coasts and stuff are very different. Like as soon as there's like at the start of the game, I thought when you go south and you get to before you go through that little goblin tunnel, that one before that, I thought that was the southernmost point.
That should have been like that whole section of the game to me should have been introduced way sooner, because
that's
you
part of the main mission maybe.
Because you go to the coast as part of like traveling through when you go to meet Sebastian or whatever else, and the coast is a whole different different vibe. It reminds me a lot of like that first quest that you do with Fig. It's kind of got that same vibe. It's very windy and blustery and wet, and
it's actually visually different. Is what you're saying.
But you go there like 80% of the way through the story, which is an interesting choice of theirs, because I was like, this would have been cool to
maybe pacing, that could be an issue with pacing, because like I loved it down there. I was just like, I wasn't expecting to have so much vastness in like that late in the game. You're just kind of like, oh, this is like the equivalent of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. You like play through the main game, and then right in the last like couple hours left in the game, they're like, here's an extra island for you. You're like, oh, okay.
I'll take that.
I'll take an extra island.
And I think as well, I think you mentioned at the start, Craig, I love that it is so big, but it is too big for what the game is. I think because the hamlets are, like, to your point, the villages are all, like, they're quite quaint. They're just laid out differently, but assets-wise, they're quite the same. And I don't think, like, I would have liked, like, Hogsmeade is great, but maybe give me one or two other places a little bit like that. Just something that looks different,
a nice one was like the little train station. I thought that was great.
Yeah, that was cool little spot.
Like Hogsmeade train station, little places like that. I think they grew it out so big, but had nothing really to fill it with. So you went around again, and that was the thing as well. I'd landed a new hamlet, and it had a very similar name to another hamlet I'd just been to, and the quest was very similar to a quest like someone's lost something or lost somebody, or can you tell me anything about this guy? I miss him and I can't find him. It was all a little bit like that, and I was like, oh, there's so much you could pull from here. Like I'd love to go like Sebastian's place with his uncle. That could have been a design of a very different kind of town, and have quests where you feel like you're spending a bit of time here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which
like
is unusual too, right? Because Feldcroft, his hometown, is actually quite significant to the main story. So like that they wouldn't make it super, not dazzling, but like maybe put
it doesn't need to be a Hogsmeade, but give it its own identity. I think the hamlets, this whole idea of like you've got Hogsmeade, Hogwarts, Hogsmeade train station, I guess, and then everything else is just a hamlet, and they're all too samey. And I think you could have made the map a good bit smaller, because again, it's not as if we're going to lose out on loads of different types of bad guys. There's only like 10 or 11, so condense it and give me less hamlets, but make them a little bit more. I would
condense it even more, because even in the games in the books, like you only leave Hogwarts once a month to maybe go to Hogsmeade. Yeah. So the whole game should have been in Hogwarts, you know, and it's called Hogwarts Legacy.
I think games have gotten to a point now where I don't know if I would have enjoyed a game entirely spent in Hogwarts.
Oh well, if we're touching on how we'd improve things,
yes, I
would have had a calendar system and actually had done like a day and night cycle where I get up for breakfast, I go to the Great Hall, I'd be in my common room talking to the other students in my year who there's supposed to be about 5 of or something, you know. And I would do classes which would consist of mini games and a test, maybe focusing on lore of Hogwarts or just stuff in the Wizarding World. Actually educate me. I'll definitely learn about like Hogwarts stuff.
So what you're saying to me is that you just want Persona 5.
I want Persona 5
with a Harry Potter skin.
With the Harry Potter, but that's what it should be. That's what it is in the books.
See, this is you're right. That is what it is in the books, but I don't think that's what they were going for.
I know, but like the second, like when I went that first time, I went to the Great Hall, and it was the only time I went there is because I was looking for it, and I was like, I can't believe this is at the very, very back of the castle, and I had to go 10 minutes out of my way to get here, when in every book, in every movie, that is the like central place of the whole thing. And I've been there once at the start of the game, and then once when I was running around and was like, oh my god,
here I am again,
I found it. And then that's it. I'm in the astrology building for 90% of the time, like, you know.
Bad decision thing. So okay, Kev, what would you do differently with it?
Yeah, well, I suppose like the door was open by having the Flu network. So like I do agree. Like I think there's a lot of wasted space in the map for sure. And like as you said, like those towns, like the hamlets, they are very samey. If you have the Flu network there, you should theoretically be able to go to any aspect of the Wizarding World. So like Natty starts saying there's a different school. Why didn't we take a trip there? Like we have the Flu network.
They're not going to build all those assets.
You have to have been there too,
see,
right?
This is the thing, so like if you did, as you said, like condense the map and then put
other places.
But the only reason the map is so big is because it was copied and pasted. If they had made it smaller, they wouldn't have given us anything extra.
Yeah, I suppose like why didn't we go to Diagon Alley? Why didn't we go to Nocturne Alley? Like you know, these are all places that the Flu network opens up,
or
and they just didn't utilize it maybe to the fullest potential. So I think that's something that could be looked at.
And it kind of teases it, because you spend you go back to it like 2 or 3 times. You go back to Gringotts. Like you're essentially in a building on Diagon Alley a couple of times throughout the game. It's like, no, let me out. Like let me out.
I want to have a look.
Like I want to have a look. So it is missing that. What about you, Colm? What would you change? Or what improvements would you make to it? Like a sequel's coming out, what would you expect to see in it?
Simple quality of life changes, like just the mechanics of like navigating your tutorial, your items, your map, that kind of stuff. Like that doesn't have to be a sequel. That could just be a patch. As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't seem like it's too much. Little things like reducing the Alohomora, if you could just get rid of that would be just like, you know, like there would, like I think Craig said it as well, but like there would be a time where I'll just see a chest, and it's not going to be like one of them fancy chests that like unlocks on your map, like when you look at a town, it's like special chest, just a standard chest. So I'm like, I think I'll just leave that. You know, like it does come to a point where like maybe you've been playing for a while, you've got your last 15 minutes or like last little while before you wrap up, and you're like, oh, you have to get to bed early tonight. Oh, there's a chest. I'll just leave that for you.
Because there's nothing really in it for you. Yeah. I think for me, if I were to do it, Craig, I love the idea of a Persona 5
Day
style.
and night cycle, right? With confidants that you spend different times with. Like there's 30 or 40 different characters, but you can only really maximize 10 or so. So like you're getting relationships with a certain.
But what you're
amount of
asking
people.
for is an entirely different game to the one we
I
got.
am now, yeah.
How?
Well, I would much prefer because I don't want to play the sequel. You know, I'm done with this.
And that's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair. So you just want so rather than the sequel, you just want them to reimagine what they've done in a
You
Persona 5.
recycle the IP.
Yeah.
You know,
Persona
suit
5
it.
X Harry Potter.
Redo everything. But you can keep the castle layout the same.
Yeah.
Although I would make it smaller because there's only 280 students, and it really felt like the castle could fit fucking 10,000 people.
Yeah. There is
that's true.
again a lot of empty space. To improve it, like I love what's there. I really loved what's there. Everything that's there, I was like, yeah, I could get behind this. And to me, it's one of those things whereby I feel like I played a game that was released maybe a year or two into the PlayStation 4 cycle in terms of what it did. One of the things that really not upset me, but I was disappointed by was the direction in certain cutscenes and points in the game. So it was really exciting, and I know you didn't finish it, Craig, but at the end of the game, you're at the what would you call it? The last
Dungeon.
the last
Yeah.
the
chamber.
the chamber they had the ancient magic,
Yeah.
the reservoir, like the last
That's the
reservoir.
one,
That's
yeah.
what it was. So this last reservoir of ancient magic that you have to go down and protect, and it turns out, of course, it's underneath the school. But there's this cool bit where you and Fig go down and you're like, okay, we got this, we can protect this. And then the goblins arrive and they drill through the bottom of the school and there's hundreds of goblins and like, oh my God. And Fig's like, well, thank God I told the other teachers. And you get this bit and it's kind of like a Mass Effect kind of thing where all the teachers like arrive in, they teleport in or whatever. What's the word?
Apparate, which
They apparate.
canon breaking they shouldn't be able to do.
Well, if it's under the school, I'm like, does that
Okay.
count?
Yeah,
you know, I'm
fair
like,
enough.
I don't know. Yeah, kind of
Do
break.
they
Could be kind of
operate
break.
in the cool way that the Death Eaters do it?
No,
Or is
they
it
just
standard
pop- they
operate?
appear.
How
Yeah.
do they do that?
It's so cool, yeah. But they have this bit where they're protecting you, running through this area past trolls and past goblins, and then at the end there's a big troll that you're like, oh my God, and you're gonna get crushed by
You
this
said,
pillar.
oh my God, because there's a troll.
Well, no, but like you're meant to think that because of the cutscene that you're getting for
Most
it. But,
common
like,
enemy ever.
this big rock thing collapses down, it's about to hit you, and then Weasley appears and she holds that up. But it's done kind of like there's so much more potential to those cutscenes, there's so much more feeling, but I never spent enough time with any of these teachers to be like, oh thank God Professor Garlick's
Yeah,
here, thank
Sharp,
God.
yeah.
Yeah. I never felt I spent enough time. And it's funny because when you do the classes at the very beginning of the game, when you meet the charms teacher, there seems to be so much personality in those
But then
characters.
you'll never see them for 30 hours.
Yeah,
again,
which is such a letdown there.
Like,
And
I
think-
forgot all their names, you know?
Yeah, I can't even think of the charm.
Like, except Garlic, because it was so obvious. You know?
The charms teacher is one of my favorites, and I can't even think of his name, which isn't a good sign. But I think the direction. So when you play like a God of War, like the most recent God of War that came out, and you're in those big important fights. And I'm not saying it needs to be done the same way, but you've got those bits where they're attacking you, and you have to put in input, and there's a bit of a cutscene, and it's all very exciting. And the direction of all those cutscenes is amazing. It's really cinematic. This really falls flat in some of those things. The end of the game was in no way, and again, that's just like, I'm not saying that's what every game needs. It's what I love from video games. That's cinematic, narratively driven. You know, there's a lot on the line here, and you kind of go to the end. Spoiler for you, Craig. Fig gets killed at the end, but I didn't feel anything about that, and it's not because I didn't like.
care.
I mean, Fig wasn't a big character for me anyway. But having any of the teachers of the school die at the end, even if it's a teacher I didn't like, should have had an exciting bit around it. But I was like, oh, Fig's dead. Because of the way it's portrayed to us, and it's just not directed very well. And all of a sudden you finish the game, you're back at the school, and the principal is giving a eulogy
He's
on
still the
on Fig.
principal at the end.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Black's still the principal, yeah.
How did that happen? I
He
thought
was
he'd
okay.
get his comeuppance for sure.
No, he was just a jerk. He didn't do anything good or bad really throughout the game. But he gives a eulogy, but none of it landed for me. I loved the game the whole way through, and I thought the ending was like, it was fine, but it just never hit. And I think if I wanted another game from this, like a sequel, they've got all the foundation to build on, but I want something that like gets me sucked in.
Yeah.
Give me the
There's
like
no draw.
there is no draw in those story moments. There's no draw. The world's amazing in terms of how it's crafted, and it's all the Harry Potter lore and the magic, but there's nothing to draw me into what the story they're trying to tell. And maybe they've got a problem with that because the original stories are also good. The original like Harry Potter stories that we read as kids are also fun and mysterious and amazing, that maybe it's hard to follow up. But I don't mind that they went for this ancient magic and another chosen one. Essentially, I don't mind that, but it was never sold to me well enough to be like, this is a really good.
I would also say, like we discussed, decisions not really having any stake.
Yeah,
there's one decision at the very end of the game that matters, and that is the only decision that really matters, bar your house and maybe like your wand at the very beginning, and that is just like Professor Fig right before you go down to the reservoir. He's like, "So what are you gonna do with this reservoir?" And I could have killed every villain up to that point using all my Avada Kedavras, Crucios, Imperios, and I could have just been like, I'll just keep it safe. And he's like, you're a good sport, you know, like no bother. I was like, no, yeah, I'm gonna like, you know, use it. I'm gonna use this shit. And he's like, you probably shouldn't. And then during that battle that you were talking about as well, a rock falls on him, and I was just like, oh, that's very shit.
Yeah.
A rock falls on him. I don't think that happens in yours, though, no, because you probably picked the good guy option.
I picked the one to say, but this is the interesting thing about it, is I picked to say, and this is what you're right, because the choices don't mean anything, because I said, no, I'll protect it.
Yeah.
And the moment you finish saying that sentence and Fig's like, that's a good idea, Ranrock arrives, the goblin, and just destroys it immediately. First thing he does is destroy the reservoir. Yeah. And I'm like, well, why did you even ask me the fucking question?
They're just like, are you sure? Like, let's just like figure out what you wanted to do, because there's no morality, so they can't have a tally of anything you've done. They're just like, so real quick, what did you say you were? You're a good guy, bad guy?
But that would be like a Mass Effect type Paragon Renegade type scenario. It makes you believe that exists in the game.
But that was really
doesn't,
well put into the game.
Of course.
And had consequences all the way through.
Yes.
To compare that to this game, they would need to build their game 2 or 3 more times, like because
of all the effects.
It's not a simple thing to put.
No. Because there's so. I mean, you look at that tree. There's so many branches that go off in the likes of Mass Effect. But if I could pick anything, I mean, look, you're talking about Persona 5. We're scrapping the whole game, making Persona 5 for you. If it was for me, I would go for make the morality mean something. Like I had Crucio, and I made the choice myself to not go any further. But you know, put something in the game to discourage me from like to make it.
Did you actually notice though? Sorry, like did you? It just kind of clicked with me there when you were saying it. But did you notice like as you started using the unforgivable curses, the people you were fighting against, like particularly like the Ashwinders or the poachers, whatever, they'd call you out on it.
Yeah.
So like they were like, I hope you don't do something unforgivable. Yeah. And like that was the only. Yeah. That was the only nod
because, like,
to it.
You know, in Harry
Potter,
Potter,
you just do it to them anyway.
Yeah. In Harry Potter lore, a single use of any unforgivable curse is a lifetime sentence in Azkaban, and you're there just like fucking Avada Kedavra and anybody that you fucking want.
To be fair, like that doesn't make any sense because even in the world of Harry Potter, there's like Sectum Sempra or that transfiguration spell that turns them into a barrel and kill them. Like, so that doesn't get you sent to Azkaban. Like, there's only 3 unforgivable.
There's a couple of plots.
I killed hundreds of people throughout the course of that game.
like you could kill anyone with any spell in Harry Potter. Yeah. Like, you know, even Sirius Black dies. I think to stupefy, he just gets hit in the heart and that's it. Like, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, it falls for that one. It's a whole thing. So I guess it comes down to our review, gentlemen, in terms of what we'd give it. And in the honor of it being a Harry Potter game, we're going to give it a score from 1 to 5 golden snitches. And 1 being a bad game, 2 being an average game, 3 good, 4 great, 5 amazing.
Well, perfect. We can rate our 5 on how we see fit, right?
Exactly. So I'll start with you. We'll start low with great.
No, maybe work our way around. The way you said it like that, it made it seem like 1 is like not that bad, like, you know. No, I would consider 1 absolutely atrocious, you know.
Oh, so would you prefer to have 1 as a atrocious game, 2 is bad, 3 is good?
A 3 or higher is worth playing. I think.
Okay, so wait, how many golden stitches are you going to give Hogwarts Legacy, Craig?
I will honestly give the game 3. But
after all that,
like you're saying, like they've put in a decent amount of efforts that like there's enough. It's all done badly, but there's enough in there sprinkled around. Yeah. And like those first few hours were really enjoyable. Like. But unfortunately, got my hopes up thinking I would be in for a very good narrative.
And like that's it. So that's what I talk about. The direction at the start of the game is amazing. How they did those scenes and everything. And
it's all downhill.
You never get any of that again.
So for me, it's a 2-star game, but the Hogwarts slap of paint on it
gives it 3.
Gives it that 3 because the castle is great and running around in it, like just finding the headmaster's office the first time, like was a very big moment for me. Yeah. Like when I figured out where it was, I just went, wow.
I found it.
That's cool that like I could just get there without it being late in the game or early in the game, and I was even able to get there by going outside and flying up to it, so you can reach it from the outside as well.
So it's 3 snitches.
I quite enjoy this. So it's 3 snitches, but it's very close to being 2.
Nice. Kev, I'm going to move on to you next.
Yeah, like I suppose, I think going into it, like my heart was always going to be like, oh, this has to be 5 stars or 5 snitches because it's letting me explore a world that I've always wanted to explore. But like, yeah, it's obviously not perfect. So I'd have to land on a 4. Like I loved it. Like I really did love it.
Nice.
But there are certain aspects I think, as we've discussed here, could be improved and hopefully are improved.
Yeah.
But yeah, like look, I've loved it. I've sunk so many hours into it. I know I'm going to sink more in. I'm going to replay it as an evil character. I'm having a great time. I can't give it anything less than 4.
Nice. Okay. 4 golden snitches for Kev. Colm.
I'm very much akin to like Kev here. I'm going to change my rating type. Instead of snitches, I'm going to say golden snidgets because I'm more of
sorry.
You're
an 1800s
Harry Potter fan. So yeah, no, I would genuinely like go probably like a 4.1, 4.2.
Very good.
If we're going to allow decimal points in there. Reason being is I think the game itself, it's not perfect by any means, but there's a lot of potential to it, and bar the fact that the developers came out and said they won't do DLC, like I would have been like, oh, this is so much room for fixes, for added content. And I don't really like believe that they will just totally wash their hands of it, because even to do a sequel, that's a lot. Whereas to add maybe DLC that can maybe improve the game or add extra content, that might be a simpler solution for them. And there's a lot of quality of life fixes. So like as a game, I sank so much time into it. I was sick during it as well, so it like kept me going. And then like by the end of it and stuff like that, like by the time I got to my second playthrough, midway through, I was totally burnt out of it, of course.
Yeah.
But like I comfortably got through the entire game, all the side quests and that kind of stuff. So like I can comfortably say I got my bang for buck. I'd be an absolute jerk to give it anything less than a 4. So a 4.1, 4.2 I'd
Nice.
give it. And again, some of that score does go back to just a bit of nostalgia, like being in a world that I've always kind of been like really interested in. Like I played the original PlayStation 1 Harry Potter, so just being able to like not like think of it this way, but to be like, when I played this on the PS1, the graphics were terrible, and now here I am, I'm flying around on my broomstick and an open world, like just the little things it gave it that little extra boost. Again, the IP in general is just something I enjoy, so maybe there is a bit of generosity being towards the review for that alone.
I think that definitely falls into my score as well. So I was thinking about it. I was saying, God, what would I give it? I think as a video game, take away from, like, don't think about the nostalgia, don't think about the Wizarding World that I've loved for so long. It's a 3 at best. It's a 3 at best because there's lots of problems with the game as a whole. As an RPG, it's really basic. Like, there's so many RPGs out there that are way better. But I fucking love Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So for me, and for me, it's that's bring it up to a 4, because there were so many times where I was at night, like late at night before going to bed, I'd turn off all the HUD and just wander around Hogwarts, listening to the paintings talk to me and finding more things and ghosts dancing around the place and students. And I was like, this is what I always wanted from a game in Hogwarts. This is what I always wanted Hogwarts to be like, and because it delivered that, it gets a 4 from me. So like 4 golden stitches for me, but legitimately the game itself is a 3. But for me, it's a 4.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, fair all round.
Yeah, guys, that was fantastic. Thank you very much for our very first Games Club.
Well, I'm delighted to be here, Darren. Thank you for having us.
Of course,
So much fun.
For our listeners, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it makes you want to buy or not buy Hogwarts Legacy. Or if you've played it, I hope you enjoyed the conversation.
And also, like, are they along the kinship of like myself, Kevin, yourself, where we have a positive review, or are they kind of more like, no, this is crap, and they're like kind of more like critical Craig over here, who are like, not that they didn't like the game, but they have a lot of
Problems
stuff that they have to like get off their chest.
I must be the biggest, but I'm a massive Harry Potter fan. So for me, it being a great game would have been amazing for me. But it's not a great game. It's not even a good game. It's a completely average game.
You do not get the moniker the critical.
Darren, that's your plug to get the email out there and get our fans to throw in some.
Yeah, if you want to let us know if you liked it, you can email us at thegiftedgaming podcast@gmail.com or tweet us at giftofgamingpod. And for those of you who are listening to this, if you are a patron, you'll get access to episodes like this where we do reviews 48 hours earlier. And you can check that out on patreon.com/thegiftofgaming. Otherwise, you'll catch all our normal shows on a weekly basis. So, Colm, Kev, Craig, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for hopping onto this magical review of a magical world of an average game.
Yeah.
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 That we
So
all.
you guys think differently.
Yeah, no, we all. I think no. This is the thing. I like the way we all had. Well, it's kind of 75-25. The room, I think, is kind of where we're going. But no, I can see everything that you were saying, Craig. I totally get it. But listen, here's hoping that we get a sequel that just blows us all away.
Yeah.
Because the foundation's there. To all our listeners, thanks for sticking around. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you on the next one. Until then, keep enjoying the gift that is gaming. Peace out.